From Studio 401, it's the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on The Fringe FM. I'm Vance Nesbitt, and here's our headlines. Zapping people's brains over the age of 60 may help boost their memory. Zapping the brains of people over the age of 60 with a mild electrical current improved a form of memory enough that they performed like people in their 20s, according to a new study. Someday people may visit clinics to boost their ability, which declines in both normal aging and in dementias like Alzheimer's disease, said researcher Robert Reinhardt of Boston University. The new study is not the first to show that stimulating the brain can boost working memory, but Reinhardt, who reported the work last Monday in the Journal of Nature Neuroscience, said it's notable for showing success in older people and because memory boost persisted for nearly an hour minimum after the brain stimulation ended. Source, Associated Press. And a haunted 116-year-old doll named Janet seems to blink in a ghost hunter's chilling selfie. The chilling snapshot shows a haunted 116-year-old doll appearing to blink in a selfie despite not having eyes or eyelids. The unusual activity was detected by two ghost hunters inside an abandoned building known as the Village of the Damned in Mansfield, Nottinghamshire. It's claimed that people often feel sick, dizzy, and often get headaches in the presence of Janet, as well as hearing footsteps and weird voices. Paranormal investigators Craig Jones and Matt Wood couldn't believe the creepy toy not only appeared to have her eyes closed, but also had eyeshadow and mascara on. Source, Mirror UK. And a Missouri man tells of a daytime Bigfoot encounter. A Missouri man has come forward with the claim that he encountered a Bigfoot creature. The man, whose name was kept anonymous, told the BFRO that he was hunting with his son when the biped showed up in October of 2016. He claims that he was near a pond in Reynolds County when silence suddenly took over. It was around 5 p.m., he said. The squirrels disappeared. Birds became silent, so I started to become concerned about human activity. He goes on to say he was scanning the area to see if he could see any people. That's when his eyes came upon this large black figure. It came walking down the other side of the holler. I thought it was a man, but it kept walking. I noticed how massive it was, he explained. The Missouri resident reports that this two-legged creature appeared to notice his presence, and then it began staring at him. I could clearly see its eyes and nose. It looked at me for about 15 to 20 seconds, then turned and walked down the ridge and disappeared into the woods. Source, cryptozoologynews.com. And now here's an interesting fun fact. Hewlett-Packard, also known as HP, was actually decided in a coin toss back in 1939. It was either going to be Hewlett-Packard or Packard-Hewlett. Thanks for listening to the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on the Fringe FM. Again, I'm Vance Nesbitt, news anchor and sorcerer.
Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS T-Drift.
Okay, I am in orbit. The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
Broadcasting from the top of the hill on the mossy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. I'm Joe Roop, and this is Lighting the Void. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program on this April 16th on into the 17th. Tonight on the broadcast, first we'll be speaking with Mr. William Buhlman, Monroe Institute instructor, author, and consciousness explorer. The call-in numbers for tonight is 1-800-588-0335 if you want to call into the show. You can also give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, or just Google Lighting the Void. And I want to jump right into this because it's been almost 3 years since we talked to Mr. Buhlman, and I am a astral travel and out-of-body experience fanatic. And Mr. Buhlman was the guy that helped me figure this out. So, William Buhlman has 40 years of experience in extensive personal out-of-body exploration. His first book, Adventures Beyond the Body, talks about his personal journey of self-discovery and out-of-body travel. He also provides the reader with techniques so they may adventure out on their own. He also conducted an international out-of-body experience survey that included over 16,000 participants from 42 different countries, and he put the results in another book called The Secret of the Soul. And in that book explores the unique opportunities for personal growth and profound spiritual awakenings that are reported during out-of-body experiences. His third book is titled Adventures in the Afterlife, and he was inspired to explore the afterlife as a result of his confrontation with mortality following a cancer diagnosis in 2011. His lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences during his treatment and recovery provided mind-bending visions that were so illuminating that he felt compelled to journal his experience. Now, William's latest book he wrote with his wife, Susan, which is called Higher Self Now, and that reflects on the actions that we can take to enhance our transition from the physical to the non-physical environment. William is well known for his effective teaching methods and safe methods for a self-initiated out-of-the-body experience. He conducts workshops at the Monroe Institute. He is also a certified hypnotherapist and a mentor to many as well as myself on this subject when it comes to being an effective explorer of consciousness. You can check out the website at astralinfo.org. Also, you could sign up to his new workshop, April the 20th, called Our Incredible Journey. William, thank you so much for coming on the program again and joining us late nighters here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
I think the deal with your biggest thing in my life has been the fact that you got me out of my body for the first time. And I give all the credit to Robert Monroe for teaching me about it, to opening my eyes about it, but it was actually you that made it happen for me. And I can't thank you enough for that. It was the book that I got. It was How to Have an Out-of-Body Experience was the book that I first, it was an audiobook actually. And I remember the first time, I've told the story a million times, but the first time I saw myself laying there on the couch, I'll never forget it. And ever since then, I've been obsessed with it. And it looks like it's become a pretty popular topic nowadays. What do you think that implies? Do you think that everybody's kind of waking up to this now that we're headed into a new spiritual, I guess, time or evolution?
Well, I think people are becoming more and more aware that the answers are found beyond the physical. That people today are sick of the belief systems, all this bogus beliefs that dominate our society and culture, and they want to discover and learn the truth for themselves. And the only way to do that is to have your own experiences. If you want to prove your own immortality, have an out-of-body experience. And if you want to discover what you are and where you're going, and the big questions, if you want to explore it for yourself, you have to become an explorer yourself. So that's why I think it is. People are turning on to the idea that they are empowered to discover and explore themselves. They don't need to depend on books and all these philosophies anymore.
Well, do you think? I think that the implications of it, like when I first had it, it opened a lot of doors for me. And when I say doors, I mean I remember hearing you talk about belief systems. And I had so many belief structures in my mind. Even, I guess you could say, as a mystic, I still had things that I believed, like angels and demons and the Bible and all of this. And I remember listening to your voice, just laying down, listening to your voice, and you talking about, try to just, open yourself up and don't give into any belief systems. In your experience through all of this, is that the biggest problem that we have when it comes to trying to have this experience, is our expectations and our belief systems?
Oh, it's definitely ingrained fears that and belief system, if you notice, most belief systems have it's a carrot and a stick. They all have many of them have some kind of concept of hell and devils and demons and all kinds of negative thought forms that they've created. And then, of course, you have to believe in their load in order to essentially be saved, which, the whole thing is just ridiculous and medieval in every way. But if you buy into a fear-based belief system, you're really locking yourself into a very narrow paradigm of reality. And it's fear that keeps most people from being real explorers of consciousness. And it's a lot of it's subconscious fears that we've gotten. I was the same way. I was brought up to be, my family was a really hardcore Lutherans, German Lutherans. And they were I went to church as a child and every Sunday, and they were very strict, probably second to Catholicism in a lot of ways. And I mean, that's a lot of fear is ingrained in the vast majority of people from a very young age. So we have to combat that fear. And we have to, that's why it's important to read and to learn as much as you can, but eventually we have to break through our own fear barrier and have our own experience. And then things really, let's just say, then the answers start to become evident.
Is it hard for you to realize how big of an impact you've made on people like me? I mean, I'm not trying to treat you like a celebrity or anything like that, but I haven't been nervous to do a radio show in a long time. And I'll tell you real quick, Mr. Buhlman, we've talked about aliens. We've talked about everything paranormal under the sun. And my own experience with the out-of-body experience was because of your work, and it's opened my eyes. Does it ever get overwhelming that so many people are just trying to learn about this now?
Well, it keeps me busy, that's for sure. It really does. It's gratifying to know that I've had an impact at some small extent. But,
you've had a huge impact on me.
Well, thank you. I try to do the best I can in getting out the information in a cogent manner so people will begin to explore this, because I think it's an incredible method to obtain the answers for yourself. And I think that's what's important here. There's no philosophies. I do a 6-day workshop at Monroe, and I start off in my intro evening by saying that there's absolutely no beliefs associated with this subject. This is about you having your own experience and reaching your own conclusions. And I think that's very important. My feeling is that any time I see or read something that's fear-based, red flags go up, and I immediately know it's bogus, because there is nothing to fear. But one thing that we've proven from our own out-of-body experience is that we're immortal. So, my God, what is there to fear when you're immortal?
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that because this isn't a belief to you. This is a knowing in your life now. That's what I get from you. Like, this is a knowing. There's nothing to fear. there's truly an afterlife, and it can be as great as we want it to be. I think that's something huge for all of us. I myself, some friends of mine have been going through certain people that have passed in our lives and other people that are up against it, and it's been a kind of a hot topic of late. And I think it gives me great comfort to know that somebody out there like you has had enough experiences with consciousness exploration that you know there's something after this.
Well, absolutely. But the real power of this is that everybody can know. This is what it's all about. Through your own experiences, you can verify this for yourself. You don't have to depend on anyone else. And that's why I feel this is important. It's self-empowering for people to discover really what the truth is of their existence. And it's just so exciting when you start to have experiences and you begin to enter these other dimensions that exist right here, right now. You know, so many. It's a shame that the culture and the society has been programmed to believe in some afterlife, for instance. That sounds like a bunch of clouds and angels, and I mean, that's not the way it is at all. The afterlife is very much, which the term afterlife is actually horrible. It's a continuation of life. But it's very much just a vibrational shift. And there's endless dimensions and many of them are very, very almost like parallel to ours. So there's so much misinformation that's still distributed to the general public about so many of these subjects. You know, what's important is for each individual to become their own explorer, and don't be dependent upon secondhand information. For instance, there's a lot of popularity in the last 20 years, especially in the mediums, which is fine. I don't have a problem with mediums, but it's secondhand information, and people forget that sometimes, and they take it for gospel.
Yeah.
And when you read a book by a medium, you remember you're getting secondhand information that's been filtered through the mind of that writer. And I don't care how much you like the way they write, it is always will be secondhand information. And it's overlaid through their own state of consciousness. You have to be very cautious of that. I see that so prevalent today, where there's so many people running around channeling this entity and channeling that entity, and they're spewing out all this information. And we have to realize that the only information you can truly trust is the information you receive from your own personal experiences. You have to build your reality on your own experiences, not the experiences of someone else.
Is the mystery a lot bigger? When I say the mystery, I mean what's on the other side, all of the different realms. Is it much bigger than we can perceive? Is there any way that we can understand it other than just saying, well, it's consciousness? Do you think we'll ever know what this is all about as being a human, from a human standpoint?
Well, I possibly sometime in the future. Right now, I think it's still not. It's the non-physical dimensions. There's so many. Like, for instance, in Theosophy, I started out in the 70s, and everyone believed there were 7 dimensions because that's what they were taught in Theosophy, and that become like the standard. And then we found out, of course, very quickly, once you start having your own experiences, that's silliness. There is endless potential of dimensions because it appears everything is expanding. Everything is expanding outward from those inner dimensions. In other words, for lack of a better word, it's a continuum that's constantly in flux and growing. In other words, dimensions within dimensions within dimensions, and sub-dimensions within these dimensions. And anybody that comes up with this is the number, again, my red flags go off, because there's no way the human mind can comprehend the immensity of what we are in the middle of. It is beyond the capacity of the human mind in its current state to fully understand it. That's how vast it is. So you have to be cautious in if anybody that puts limits on anything and numbers on anything, again, it's just baloney.
Yeah.
It is, because it's so expansive. What's important is that you learn how to control your own, not only learn how to initiate your own experiences, but then you have to go to that inner school within yourself and learn how to control your own self, because we move by thought. And, we have different energy bodies. The universe, we're multidimensional beings. So we have to learn how to function in each dimensional space. And there's a lot that we are learning. Now, in my latest book, Higher Self Now, I have a chapter on the continuing evolution of humanity, since you brought this up. And I make it very clear that our evolutionary cycle, people think it's over at death. It's just beginning. Because we're not animals. We're not human animals. We're not even human. Consciousness takes any form needed for its evolution. So we have to start to reframe the way we view ourselves in the universe, because it's so much more than anybody's ever imagined. Let's put it that way.
I've had also had Thomas Campbell on the program, and we've talked about these types of things. And I've always been under the impression that when you had an out-of-body experience, that you were leaving the body. I think it was you the first time that told me, well, you're not really, and this was through your audios, by the way, you're not really leaving the body. You're just going into consciousness. Can you expand on that just a little bit?
Yes, an out-of-body experience is actually you're shifting inward into your existing non-physical, higher vibrational energy body. It has the feeling of exteriorization, but the actual act of an out-of-body experience, and by the way, near-death experience, they're the same trajectory. You're shifting, you're moving, in a sense, moving your state of consciousness inward to your non-physical aspect of yourself. And when you do that, of course, you've entered that dimensional space in consciousness. So yes, the environment's going to look different. But out-of-body experiences are, the term itself is very poor term. It was coined many decades ago. And we have the ability to shift in actually multiple energy bodies, because we are multidimensional beings. And that's what we're doing. But again, the perception is exteriorization, which means, of course, that that it feels like your body, you're leaving your body. Now, granted, there is a form of exteriorization that's common, but the main part of an out-of-body experience is a shift from the dense outer vehicle, which is your physical body, and shifting your consciousness inward to a less dense energy vehicle, and then perceiving that environment with a whole different, by the way, that's why you have to learn through trial and error how to manage the other energy bodies, because their capabilities are different. People forget there's no air, there's no gravity. There's none of the things that we're used to in the physical world that we take for granted exists when you leave your body, or when you have a near-death experience, or when you die. All the rules of physics are different. There's no mass. There's no aging. There's no disease. Many of the things that we're used to and become accustomed to, of course, are no longer relevant. So you have to learn the new rules of the road, which I write about quite a bit in different books.
A person like me, I'm still trying to have the experience, going through the methods and techniques, and then trying to stay there as long as possible. Somebody like you, what are your goals with this now? Are you trying to reach a certain level, or are you just happy with where you're at and now you're just focused on instructing?
Well, I'm never happy exactly where I'm at, so I can't say that. I mean, teaching this for the last 25 years has been very fulfilling for me, because I'm probably near retirement at this point. I'll be 69 this year. But for me, my big goal is, and I think I expressed this in the book Higher Self Now, that's my goal. When I leave my body now, one of the main things, as you know, I'm big on affirmations during O.B.Es. I'm really big on controlling it, use awareness now. There's specific affirmations that I teach that I know work. But one of the ones that I use now more than anything, when I leave my body, I stabilize myself. I move away from my physical body 10 feet, and then I stabilize my energy field through awareness now. And the main thing that I try to do is higher self now. I try to go to the highest aspects I can. I try to shift my awareness and experience the highest aspect I can of myself. That's my principal goal when I have an out-of-body experience. It's not flying around or floating around or moving through doors. I have no interest in any of that, because the answers aren't found there. The answers, as you go inward, you become part. You connect with all that is, and you start to know what's really the game. Because everyone's playing a multidimensional game. Everyone's playing. It's like a multidimensional game of chess we're all playing, but most humans have no idea the game they're in. And it's quite illuminating when you discover what it is and how vast it is.
It's a game that we're playing with ourselves, you mean?
Yeah, well, the whole game of what we call life, this one-dimensional thing around us that we call life, these biological, we call that life, don't we?
Yeah.
Trees and our bodies are life. But that's only one little fraction of what real life is my point. We're on all these dimensions. We're existing currently. Everybody listening to this is currently residing in different dimensions. But they're focusing their consciousness on their outer dense vehicle, their body, right now. So that's real to them. But once you start shifting your consciousness, you become aware of the other dimensions. And what's really exciting is when you can have a profound experience and start to connect with the higher, for lack of a better word, the higher aspects of yourself. And that's what's truly exciting. And we have that capability. In other words, we can have profound, what some people don't like the term spiritual, but whatever you want to term it, we can connect with that inner aspect of us and have these transcendental type experiences that I've written about and I talk about in Higher Self Now. We've been yogis, everybody's doing the same thing. You're going inward. But to me, out-of-body experiences, this self-initiated out-of-body experiences in particular, is so exciting and so direct of a path. You know, they're old saying there's 1,000 paths that take you to the same location. But this method is incredibly exciting, and I think that's what the appeal is. You know, people are meditating is. I'm a meditator, but it's also it's a more passive approach. Let me put it that way. This is a far more active approach.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that I heard you say it once, the idea is to become an effective explorers of consciousness. And that hit home with me because a lot of us just talk about it and we talk about all of the mysteries and the ideas of what really could be going on, but we're not going to learn about it until we actually start practicing it and doing it. And that's a big focus for you. And I think a lot of us need more of that kind of attitude. But I can't help but think, Mr. Buhlman, like, why, like, I want certain answers to certain things. And I don't know if it's that way for you, but I'd like to think that once I start becoming a better explorer or effective explorer of consciousness, then I could get the answers to maybe the nature of the universe and things like that. Is that possible, or if you even attempted those types of things?
Definitely you can, but you can only get it through going deeply inward until you experience your higher, I use the term higher self. You know, in Buddhism, it would be called your Buddha nature. Each kind of yogic path has their own, the source, whatever term you use. But that's where the answers lie. To me, this is a very direct way to get to that. In other words, during an O.B.E., you center yourself and you just demand higher self now. See what happens. You have nothing to lose. Another approach that's less aggressive, let's say, is next level now. I've been teaching this for 20 years. This works extremely well, and it's a more controlled method. During an O.B.E., after you center yourself, and I do that through awareness now, you can move away from your body 10 feet, and of course, and that's to get away from that magnetic pull, or what some people call the cord activity range. But once you're away from your body and you're centered, you just demand, and I do mean demand, next level now. And you will begin to move inward within yourself. And what's wild is that the environment that you used to be in, it'll look like it's melting. And suddenly, and this happens very quickly, and it stuns and scares people. But the next thing you know, you're in another whole environment. And often it's happened so quickly, you have to stabilize yourself again to awareness, using awareness now. And people think they're losing it. What they've actually done, the universe didn't change, they did. You're moving inward within this multidimensional continuum within yourself. And you can do this again and again and again. Each time you're going deeper within yourself into a higher vibrational part or element of yourself, however you want to term this. And you can go as far as you can. Everybody has their own limits based on their own, let's just call it vibrational evolution. But that's what I would recommend people doing. Next level now when you have an O.B.E. Center yourself. Don't just fly around and walk through the wall. So many people do that. You know what I mean? At first it's exciting, but you quickly learn that gets quite redundant. Start going inward. That's the real exploration of consciousness. That's when it gets really fascinating. And you start to get the answers, like you get connected to, you start to get a broader vision of who you were. And it's quite shocking, too, because many of us have been here 100 times. And I didn't believe it until I had the experience, and I realized that I had lived so many lives. Nobody could have told me it was true, because I didn't buy into that initially until I started tapping into that, and I realized that I was a German soldier during World War II. And then I found many other lifetimes that I write about in some of my books. But it's quite shocking when you learn things about yourself. We weren't all saints, so let's put it that way. Everybody's had a background, and the history of humanity is a history of war. Many of us have been warriors involved in conflicts. But you learn through personal experience. It's like the Earth is like the ultimate simulation. And we're moving inward, in a sense, from simulation to simulation within ourselves. Or at least that's one way to look at it. I'm not saying it's not real, because it is real. I'm just saying that there's multiple dimensions, and because we're immortal, there's no death. And people don't seem to get that. So right now on the physical world, for instance, World War II, 100 million people die. but yet nobody really died. They just transferred consciousness when their body was destroyed.
Yeah.
Into a higher vibrational vehicle. But the more that you know how this functions, the more you can use the current programming we're in and begin to break through the limits and really discover the answers and break what basically everybody has a fear barrier. And you learn how to break through your own fear barriers because everybody has it. And you do that through trial and error often during out-of-body experience.
Does this also give you the power to, which I know people are wondering, does this also give you the ability to see past your own hang-ups and possibly manifest better things for you in your current life here?
Yes, if that's what you wish, absolutely. Yes, you can. Things happen as you move inward, the outer world. You start to get a handle. I do an entire presentation on this. You can actually, and I don't want to get too deeply into this, by focusing on the inner planes, you can affect the outer. That's really the source of all true magic throughout the ages. You can manipulate. In other words, all physical objects, what did they start as? A thought form. Every object in your home, in all your listeners' homes, your automobile, everything started as a thought form and slowly or quickly in some cases manifested as a physical object. So imagine when you're out of body, you have the ability to focus on thought forms and to, let's just say, stabilize and reinforce that thought form and bring it closer to manifestation. But I don't want to get too deeply into this. This is one of the things I teach in my workshops about how to, let's just say, accelerate the manifestation of form through your own O.B.Es. But the main goal, the main thing I like to get across to your audience is this self-knowledge. The most important thing our planet needs, and the biggest thing it's lacking is, the biggest problem facing humanity is lack of knowledge of self. That's why there's wars and conflicts and dissension and constant, there's so much division, politically, socially, you know what I'm saying. All of that, where does that come from? Lack of knowledge of self. Through our own out-of-body experiences, we can obtain the answer to what we are. And once we know that, we're no longer a pawn of all this drama that's now it's always been part of the physical experience. You break free from the drama train that's constantly on TV and all this falsehood, this litany of bogus information that's spewed to the collective consciousness.
Right.
You can break free from that. It's very important so that you don't get caught up in these belief systems or these self-identity issues.
I kind of wanted to figure out this too, because I've been reading books that I guess that are from certain mystics and certain, I guess you could say, magicians and occultists or whatever, and they all talk about in their deepest books that the real mystery school is not buildings or mosques or temples. It's all in the internal realms and the astral realms. And they got names for everything, for the planets, for angels, demons, genies, dimensions, Kabbalah system, you name it. And it's like, is this because do you think when they started figuring it out that they just felt like that they had to name all of these things that they were interacting with, or maybe it was because they were taking their own religion into it?
Well, I think it's a little of both. I think everybody's influenced by their religion. Look at Swedenborg is a perfect example. I mean, he had these incredible experiences, but they were all jaded by his religion, which is very strict. Yeah, it was a combo. Remember, the human mind wants to classify everything. we want to label things. We desperately want to put a label on things, like angels. I try my best not to do that. I've never experienced an angel with wings in 45 years. Because it's silliness. A multidimensional being does not need wings. For God, it's so ridiculous, almost childish. But that's stuck in the collective consciousness, hasn't it? Because It's in the Bible. It's in the Quran. It's in multiple texts. So when people encounter a non-physical being, remember, we are not just observers of our non-physical environment. We are participants. We are active participants all the time when we enter into non-physical realities, because it becomes increasingly thought responsive. And that's often forgotten about. So we have to be careful not to jump to conclusions about anything. I've experienced all kinds of incredible beings. None of them had wings because I didn't believe in that. If I would have believed in angels with wings, I'm sure I would have seen it. And if I would have believed in aliens everywhere, I would see aliens. Because our mind wants to desperately make sense of whatever we're perceiving. So it will mold it into the shape that we can understand. And we have to remember, these are thought-responsive realms, all of them.
Right. Yeah. The one big question I also have that I'm still trying to understand. I've come up with my own answers, but they're just theories. Why the amnesia? Why when we come here do we have to forget all of that? Why can't we just come here and remember all of that? Because I think that's what creates our fears, because we don't know what's going on,
I think a lot of people could not handle. Imagine if you could remember, because this can happen during an out-of-body experience. Imagine if you can simultaneously, you've had 100 lifetimes here. And just imagine how psychotic the planet would be if everybody was remembering all 100 lifetimes they had at the same time. That's part of the problem, I think, right now with so much of some of the mental issues that are so prevalent, like schizophrenia. Shamans say that they're just connecting into multiple aspects of themselves, and they can't. Now, whether that's true or not, I'm just saying that I don't think the average human mind could handle being here and remember their true past. It would be too disorienting. That's one of the reasons, I think. The universe is very, in a way, it's structured. It's very organized in its own way. It's all an automatic, though. And it functions incredibly well. And the time it takes for each individual soul or state of consciousness to evolve doesn't matter, because we're all mortal. A lot of us get hung up on, oh, well, God, it's taken so long. It's such a long slog. It's relative, because there is no such thing as death. So it doesn't matter if it takes a soul or state of consciousness 1 million years to have all these experiences. But we don't see it that way. We're looking at it from a one-dimensional plane. But in the greater scheme of things, you have to be focused in the environment you're in. This is one of the things I try to teach in my workshops. When you leave your body, you have to stay incredibly focused, or you're going to snap back to your body very quickly. One of the main things I've been teaching for over 20 years is how to control and maintain and prolong your out-of-body experiences through techniques. Because the vast majority of people their experiences last 15, 20 seconds, because they have random thoughts of the body, and the next thing they know, they snap back. It takes training, self-training, to begin to lock in. I call it locking in. As soon as you leave your body, you move away from it, and you touch something in that non-physical environment. Get interested. Lock yourself into that reality. And you do that by getting interested and reach out your hand, if you have a hand, which of course you don't need, but you'll reach out and touch something. And then you begin to lock in. That's where you can prolong the experience. Very important at the beginning. It's often overlooked. Simple things are overlooked.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Do you think we'll ever be able to, well, a couple of things. Do you think that we'll ever be able to do see, and when they did it in the Monroe Institute, when they would take these journeys and stuff, and I've listened to the audios, they would come back and take notes and compare, but it was almost like remote viewing, it sounded like to me. Is it possible to travel with others in this realm?
It happens. I just finished a workshop, as you probably know, on Friday,
right,
Thursday night, and we had multiple people said they met at the crystal, because it's one of the things that I and others, but I especially focus on. I have people doing techniques, and they focused, because the crystal, as you know, is such a focal point of the Monroe Institute, I include about 3 techniques where the end point is the crystal. And people, every workshop, people are seeing one another at the crystal. At night, they see each other sometimes in the fox den. It's not that unusual, really.
I guess for me it is, because I'm out here in Arkansas. It feels like away from everybody, you know. And I have a hard time every time I've done this, William. I have a hard time just leaving the yard. I've got some type of weird hang up where I can't get out of my own perimeter for some reason.
That's very common. You have to. That's another reason why it's good to, next time you have an out-of-body experience, after you center yourself, do next level now. And the whole, your house and your yard will dissolve away. It will appear to dissolve away, and you will find yourself in another dimensional space. And then you center yourself again, and then start exploring that. That's one way. Go inward. Don't even waste your time going lateral. I can't emphasize this enough. Just go inward and move out of your home that way. But that's a very common issue. You know why? Because in your subconscious mind, that's kind of a safe area. And it's not your conscious mind, obviously, but most people are, when you have an out-of-body experience, your subconscious mind still has a lot of, let's just say it's very powerful.
Yeah.
So you have to find ways to, let's say, break through the limits of not only the conscious mind, but the subconscious. And the best way I have found to do that is to go inward through next level now. And then you've done it. You've broken through. Now you're in another dimensional space, and you can begin to explore that and get interested. Lock that environment. As soon as you're in a new environment, and that's what it'll look like. It may be a green field. Then touch something in that new environment. Reach out your mind and touch it, because that's really what you're doing. And then it'll lock it in, and then you can do it again. You want to see another reality, next level now, and go inward even further within yourself. That's the way to become an effective explorer of consciousness. Going laterally is very, very limited to that dimension, that one sub-dimension of reality. It's a tiny, tiny fraction of it. You know, I use the analogy when people die, I've said this in conferences, and I reach out, put my fingers out, and show like a half an inch. That's how far you've moved into the universe.
Oh, wow.
Because you haven't went very far. When we leave our bodies, we think, oh, my God, we went so far. We haven't at all. We've just went to the next minor, let's call it a layer of reality. And there's many layers.
When you say going inward, I've had some questions in the chat room. Is that a feeling you get, or you just do it by affirmation when you say next level now? Does it just take you there, or do you feel like you have to go?
I control myself through my mental affirmations. That's how I do it. And it's been effective. You have to repeat it. You have to be powerful about it. You have to expect results. A lot of people, you have to really know and feel that there is no limit, that you can do this. If you question yourself, nothing will happen. But
right.
Yes, that's the way to be an explorer out of body, to be an effective explorer. Because just walking down the street, what is that going to really give you? I know it's exciting. I spent the early 70s doing that, flying around. I write about it, flying over my house, flying over my school. It was exciting because, of course, I was only 22 years old, and it was all new and exciting. But after about a year or two of doing that, you start to get bored. There's got to be more, because, of course, there is. So that is so important. And if you really want to have an adventure, hire self now. And it's amazing what can happen if you're ready for it. Your higher self will only give you what you're ready for. It'll stretch you, but it won't give you more than you can handle. And higher self now is amazing. Suddenly, some people describe it as going through layers of color, and suddenly you're in a sea of pure white light and love, connected to everything, connected literally to everything. It's beyond words. It's beyond anything that I can relate. But that is the way to have a profound out-of-body experience. And then ask your question. You want to know about your past lives? They'll unfold right before you.
Right.
I know because I've experienced it. It's like playing cards, just unfolding. I mean, and that's how I experience.
Yeah.
But everybody experiences this. In other words, that's where the answers are.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I would love to be able to fly around and stuff. I mean, I've flown around in my yard and stuff like that, but I'd like to be able to at least move around and then start that. But, at some point, the older I get, I see what you're saying, because the answers are starting to get more important, the bigger questions,
Absolutely. I mean, I want to know all the answers. I want to know it all. That's always been my driving force. I don't trust any of the information that's out there. And I especially don't trust this hyper-intellectualism that's now so popular. I don't trust it at all. And all these theories of consciousness. This is not about theory. I don't have a damn theory. You either know it from experience or you don't. There's no theories. They're all baloney. And the only way to know something is to go and experience it.
Yeah.
And if people spent as much time doing the techniques to induce the out-of-body experience as they did studying the theories and reading the books about all of these theories and these hyper-intellectual philosophies that are out there, my God, it's like a circular firing squad. Because
it is really it's just chaos.
You could do it and people do it for the rest of their lives. I've known people that for 40 years have been studying every imaginable thing out there. They're experts in every subject, from quantum physics to mysticism, you name it, spiritualism, but they never had their own experience. What good is it? It's just a head full of information. That's why I'm doing this online course, by the way.
Yeah, you got that right. And tell us about that. This is cool because this is online. I'd like to be able. This is something new. Yes, I just developed myself and my wife based on the book Higher Self Now. But it's not just O.B.Es. I want to make this clear. I've written multiple books, as you know, and this workshop is devoted to. I teach the metaphysical aspects of it, and my wife teaches the dual aspects. In other words, it trains you in how to
prepare yourself and your loved ones for transition, which is very important. How to make death a launch pad of consciousness, not the gnashing of teeth and this, oh, it's so horrible, this person is dying. This is about being knowledgeable, having a spiritual action plan. We call it the spiritual directive. You create your own launch pad of consciousness. I've got a couple, there's a couple YouTube videos for those that are interested that I did that are floating around there. At conferences, I talk about this in detail. At the, for instance, the Afterlife conference. And I spell out exactly, I developed the system. When I thought I was dying from cancer, I wanted to create my own launch pad. And cut away all the belief systems and just get to the point. And that's what this is about, teaching people how to, we're all going to transition. We're all going to die. So let's turn this, not only us, but all of our loved ones around us are going to die. And die is a terrible word because it's not accurate. We're all going to make this shift of consciousness permanent. So why not be prepared, knowledgeable, and make this an elegant, wonderful, joyous transition and become masters of our own destiny. In other words, turn death into this immense, wonderful experience where you launch yourself to the highest level of within yourself you can reach or capable of.
I can imagine.
And that's what this workshop's about.
I can imagine a planet full of people that are no longer afraid and that they look forward to it because they know they're going to transition and they know how to do it. That would be wonderful. How can we get to this conference, by the way?
Oh, the information is on my website, astralinfo.org. It's a 3-week class. It begins this Saturday, actually, and I do it like twice a year. This is only the second time I think I've done that. This is really new. So, and it's the future because I'm not going to be teaching 6-day workshops after this year. I'm getting up there. I'm 68, and I got to transition into some kind of online capability that's taped because I maybe have another year left. My voice goes out. I just don't have that. I just don't have the capability to do 6 days of training like I used to. It's 12 hours a day, 6 days.
Yeah, and for the most part, I think a lot of us that like to learn from you too, would love to be able to access most of your stuff through the internet and to make it a lot easier on you and be more accessible. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, I want this to be. I'll be working on something else, but I like to have this training available. So when like I said, I'll be 69 this year, and I'll be transitioning relatively soon, and I want this training to be available to people 20 years from now when I'm long gone. So that's the only way to do that is through online or through YouTube videos and stuff like that. That's the only way you can do it. So that's where I'm headed.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on the program for an hour with us and joining the late night crowd because we love this stuff and it means a lot. And thank you, thank you so much for coming on the program again. It's a real pleasure having you here.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
And can you give out your links one more time? Even the social media stuff, so everybody listening can find you.
Yes, it's my website is astralinfo.org. I'm also, surprisingly, I have a Facebook component. But my main site is Astral Info. My workshops are there and the online stuff and the new book. Also have a new book coming out, but that's still 4 months away. But all the new stuff that I'll be doing in the next 2 years will be on that website.
Well, thank you so much.
And then I'm going to disappear.
And then you're going to disappear. Well, I mean, I just want to say that I really appreciate your work. It was you that made me realize, because I was one of those people who's like, well, I've tried the out-of-body experience twice. It didn't work for me. It was you that made me realize that I need to practice this, learn how to relax, learn how to guide myself through it, and really work on this to become effective explorers of consciousness. And it's a phrase that I've used quite a bit here, and a lot of that was thanks to your work.
Well, it takes a commitment, daily commitment, 30 minutes a day. That's all, but it does take a daily commitment.
You guys go check out the website, astralinfo.org, and we'll be right back. We're going to continue some of our stuff, the readings like we did last night, as well as share your experiences, and that is William Buhlman. Go check out the website. Also, sign up for the new workshop coming up. I may see you in there. We'll be right back.
This is Catalina, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
This is Crow 777, and you are listening to The Fringe FM.
Hey guys, do you struggle with low testosterone levels? Symptoms of low testosterone affect your optimum functioning as a man, and this includes loss of motivation, fatigue, and lack of libido. Well, now there's a way to increase your testosterone levels and combat these symptoms, and do it naturally. How? It's called Red Stag for Men, the all-new male enhancement formula designed to do just that. Red Stag is formulated with some of the most frequently studied natural ingredients that are known to raise higher testosterone levels. Higher testosterone levels have been known to increase your drive, as well as reduce body fat, improve lean muscle mass, and boost your energy. Red Stag is taken once daily, yet works all day naturally. So go to myredstag.com right now and get your 60-day supply. Red Stag. Remember, take the red pill. Proven ingredients, proven performance. Go to myredstag.com right now. That's myredstag.com.
I'm Ryan Gable, and I want to remind you to keep your radio, phone, tablet, or computer tuned to The Fringe FM, and visit the website, thefringe.fm, to listen to the entire lineup of shows. You can also catch my broadcast, The Secret Teachings, Monday through Friday, beginning at 12 a.m. midnight U.S. Pacific Time, right here on The Fringe FM.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Bouval, Lon Maladuquette, Aaron Cheek, and more join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat. Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Root. That was Mr. William Buhlman, author of quite a few books, actually. Adventures in the Afterlife, Adventures Beyond the Body, The Secret of the Soul. He's a well-known instructor at the Monroe Institute. And if you're an out-of-the-body enthusiast, I guess, I don't even know. We need to come up with some word for people that are obsessed with the out-of-body experience like me. Then he's one of the biggest guys you can talk to. There's actually a few guys that you can talk to. We talked to Greg Doyle, Thomas Campbell, who else have we talked to? Garrett Stevens from HemiSync. So this is like the biggest subject to me, and the reason why that I like to talk about it so much, just to let you know, is because of what it implies, the implications of it. And the implications of it are spiritual. They're also paranormal. It implies many things. It also implies any possibilities when it comes to aliens and UFOs. So, yeah, it was really, really cool. It's been almost 3 years since I've got to speak to him, and asking him to come on late at night is a special treat. And so that was really cool. But if you are listening to this for the first time, I can tell you that after reading Robert Monroe's books, I was obsessed with it, and I really didn't have my first launch until listening to William Buhlman's audios. And some of you already know that. You've actually went out and got the audios, and it's helped you. So hearing the fact that he's probably going to be transitioning to more online stuff is really cool. And I would suggest, if you have never heard of him, but you also want to learn a lot about this stuff, especially the afterlife, go sign up for his workshop that he's doing. And he's and I believe he's actually got a name for it. It's called The Incredible Journey, and it starts this weekend, and that website is astralinfo.org. Also, don't forget, April the 29th, we're going to be doing our Get the Tea webinar, where we are going to be giving away something and an exclusive coupon, and you can sign up for that at getthetea.com. Lots of people that don't really feel well right now. I've talked to, I would say this week, 6 or 7 different people that don't feel well. So I'm taking this stuff like crazy. I actually forgot to take my, the fifth element. I was thinking of the movie, the eighth element, the cordyceps mushrooms. And I've been feeling pretty good. Usually about this time of the year, though, I get sick from all the pollen and stuff. Another thing too, some of you have been asking about the UFO seekers. This is pretty simple, right? And only a couple of you asked this, but I want to be real clear about it. Okay, if you go to ufoseekers.com, that's who I'm talking about. They're partners of the Fringe FM. They got a very popular YouTube channel on YouTube, and one of their latest videos shows him getting looked at by cameras, security men, and even a helicopter flying over him over there. So just go to youtube.com/UFO Seekers. And in fact, if you're in that area over there and you have a sighting, or you'd like to report a sighting, or you have a story that you want to tell them, and just, make sure it's not gobbledygook, you can call 661-UFO-7889, ufoseekers.com. I got a lot of feedback after last night's show, And I know after having that conversation with William, it would be kind of hard to go into this book that we were reading a little bit more. But I'm going to, because a lot of people have asked about it. And I would just say, and this is what I've been trying to say when I talk about these types of things, that when people name things like genie or jinn or planetary stuff, or they talk about these different dimensions, even if they're teachers of the mystery schools, a lot of times, and what I've learned from William, is that they're putting their own beliefs into it. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's just, it's almost like labels for something that we don't understand. And I mean, that stuff goes way back. These mystery schools and things, we've been doing this stuff for a long time. Primitive man. I mean, think about it. They just found new DNA stuff about Stonehenge. It actually reveals the origin of the builders. I don't know how they got the DNA, but the ancestors of the people who built Stonehenge, they traveled west across the Mediterranean before reaching Britain, and they compared the DNA extracted from the Neolithic human remains found across Britain with that of the people alive at the same time in Europe, and the Neolithic inhabitants appear to have traveled from Anatolia, which is modern Turkey, to Iberia before winding their way north. They reached Britain in about 4000 BC, so I really think at the bottom of my heart when it comes, and this is a conflict for me, I'm not going to lie, there are certain mystery schools that I totally believe in some of the names. Take for instance, the Researchers of Truth with Daniel Joseph and Dioscolos. That's really hard for me to look at that as just a belief system, because it's not really. It's about research and truth. But yet they do talk about some of the same Abrahamic things that you hear about in the Bible. But this is in a lot of different aspects. Just like last night we were reading Practical Astrology and talking about Jachin and Boaz and traveling the stars. I really think when these people actually started going into these inner realms, just like William, just like you and me, they wanted answers. I mean, can you imagine for the first time you're traveling through space and you meet all these different beings that are inside planets and stars and stuff? You have to give them a name. And so I think that, honestly, is how the mystery school started. It's how religion started. How everything started was from the first people that started having out-of-body experiences. I know most people, like listening late night, they really want to get into the UFO aspect of things a lot of times. But there's a lot of implications there as well. I really think that some of the UFOs we see are probably beings that are interdimensional, that are just traveling, and we catch glimpses of them and things like that. So Eric Markham has just joined us on the program. Was that the first time you ever heard William Buhlman, Eric?
No, matter of fact, I think William Buhlman's book was my first Audible book.
Oh, yeah, I remember telling you about that. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. He really is.
Yeah, he knows his stuff. And just like somebody said in the chat room, they said it's really cool to hear the power he knows that he's going to transition soon. He says, I'm going to transition soon. And I didn't hear 1 ounce of fear in his voice. Not even a little bit. That's pretty cool. But I still have, and he's right, because no matter how much he talks to me about it, Eric, no matter what he says, and I believe him. I do believe him. But that tells you how powerful our personal experience is, because no matter what he says, until I have that experience, I don't know it, right? So I always have a doubt in the back of my mind, or my subconscious will always doubt it. But like he says, when people come around and they're saying that they know the names of all the dimensions and all the alien races, and they know everything about all this stuff, there's no way, it's too much out there. There's no way.
Know. Yeah, there's no way. Like I said, there's too much out there to know.
Yeah.
If anybody says they know it all, it's either has quit looking before they should, or they're lying outright.
Yeah, and I'll put my whole life into this thing, because I promise you, if I wouldn't have had that experience, I probably wouldn't be doing this radio show. That's just a fact. I didn't start listening to paranormal radio. I didn't even get involved with it anything like that until I had that experience. And he's right. I mean, we obsess over a lot of things here, especially when it comes to our past. And I mean, some of the stuff is so material it doesn't matter, and we get so involved in it, and it's such a freaking fallacy. Like, I think there was even today I was looking on eBay. There was, because I get on eBay a lot just to see what people are buying, like ridiculous stuff, that instead of figuring out the answers to the life and universe, they're spending $2.95 million on a T-Rex. There's actually, I actually looked that up. A Tyrannosaurus Rex was put on eBay for $2.95 million and is getting bids on it. It's a 68 million year old baby T-Rex. It was found in Montana back in 2013 by Alan Dietrich and his brother, and they initially loaned the fossil to Kansas University Natural History Museum, and they're planning. I mean, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to buy it because you hope it's going to increase in value or something? I don't know. What I'm saying is that stuff is so mundane, and we're throwing money at things that are so mundane when we could travel the freaking universe. Do I sound kooky when I say things like that?
No, you're just approaching things from a different point of view. Now, if you're somebody with that kind of money to spend, and you've wanted a baby dinosaur T-Rex your whole life, hey.
Yeah, maybe. Who's to say what?
Can you imagine the buyer's remorse? How sometimes you buy something you really want, you just can't wait. You get it home and you think, well, damn, now what?
Yeah, and I'm kind of
you pay $13 million for a baby T-Rex skeleton. The next thing you know, it's sitting in your living room, and it's like,
I mean, I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite, because there are certain things about this life, that I absolutely love. Food, number one. I'm a huge fan of flicks, but I'm really pissed off. I tweeted this earlier that, the Avengers, the in-game footage has actually leaked on the internet, and a bunch of other stuff is leaked. And this is, I found this on CNBC. I wish I wouldn't have found it. But at some point over the past few days, a clip from the Avengers in-game made its way online, and it's now all over the place. It's even on social media platforms just before the release of the film, which is probably really pissing them off. And it's likely that the person behind the leak had clearance to view the footage, so it was somebody on the inside, and it's a heavy spoil. If somebody does that with Game of Thrones, I'm going to kill them. And it appears to have been recorded during a screening of the film. But the film's directors, the Russo brothers, they posted on Twitter a few hours after the story broke that they said, quote, "Please know that two of us, along with everyone involved in Endgame, have worked tirelessly for the last 3 years with sole intention of delivering a surprising and emotionally powerful conclusion to the saga." They asked the fans out there, and I'm asking you because I know some of you are fans, please do not spoil this movie for others who have not seen it. That's crazy. I don't know why I've been thinking about that all day because I can't wait to watch it.
Oh, me too. I saw like the authorized clip today, and it's like 10 days and 9 now. I thought, I had no idea it was that close to being released.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be another year or so. So I'm stoked. I'm going to go see that one in IMAX 3D. Absolutely.
IMAX came from Canada. Did you know that? The Canada.
Oh, God.
We got this thing going again. We got this America versus Canada thing going right now.
But they also sent us Rush, and I can't complain about that. So,
well, I wanted to get to some of y'all's experiences in here because we made this channel on the Fringe FM, and I never, people have just been loading it up with experiences. So here we go, right? I've never got to say some of this on the air, and I'm going to get to now. So this first one's from Laura, and this is not the first one. It's just one I picked. It says, "Hey guys, I just wanted to share something that happened to me recently," and this was back in February. I'd initially woken up, but then drifted to sleep again, and I was going in and out of being conscious when all of a sudden I heard a loud gunshot. And it startled me, and I realized I was experiencing sleep paralysis. Now, I'm used to sleep paralysis, so I knew to remain calm and give in. But this time, I heard a high-pitched ringing in my ear, and it began to intensify. I heard a high-pitched ringing in my ear, and it began to intensify. Along with it, my body felt as if it were vibrating. I had never felt this before, and it honestly scared me, and I woke up. I wish I would have remained calm to see where it would have led me, but there's always a next time. I think that happens to a lot of people the first time they experience it. They actually, and it did happen to me too, and the first time that you realize that you're separating from your body, it's a freaky thing, and you freak out. I don't really know anybody that's tried it. I'm sure there has been, but has tried it for the first time that made it out because they didn't totally freak out. You know, have you made it out yet, Eric? Are you still trying to attempt this?
I've made it out, but I can't do it in a controlled way. I get through, it's almost like I pass through that vibrational state. Almost like if you're swatting your hand through a garden hose stream, you know, it's just, I'll get the vibration and I'll get the noise for just a split second. And sometimes I think I go, you know, as I'm going to sleep, I think I get out.
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, that's what happens is you
I have dream-like. Well, it's not even that. I mean, I like that feeling of tumbling, where you're sort of weightless, vibrating and tumbling, and you got that rushing in your ears. I enjoy that.
What do you mean tumbling?
One time I had this experience where, the vibration, I knew what was going on, but it was almost like I was in a free fall. And it was really, I don't know, I felt like I was weightless and just sort of tumbling around. And it was very, to me, I enjoyed it. I thought, man, this is awesome. And I didn't want it to end. And of course, as soon as I thought about it not ending, it's faded away. So I don't know what you have to do to trick your brain into staying in that space. But
I want to go to space. I'm telling you, the first thing that I did when I got out is I looked up and I did this Superman type thing, you know, after I've played around with the trees, and I wanted to go to space. I don't know why, but I was like, here we go. I'm going to the moon. And as soon as I launched up, I started seeing all of like this static. It was almost like I was running into a phone that was shutting down, which it was very Matrixy like actually. And I'm like, where's the damn stars? Where's the sky? What is all this? And then I woke up. And then I was back. Well, I was back in my body basically. That stuff pisses me off.
You remember Ingo Swann? You've heard of Ingo Swann, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
He supposedly got nearly captured by some kind of aliens on the moon. If I had to admit, if I could ever control...
Wait, Ingo Swann said he got captured by aliens on the moon?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I don't know why I didn't know that. That should be common knowledge for me.
He wrote a book, and he puts that experience into the book in a fictional form, but supposedly he almost got caught by some kind of... He claims he almost got caught by some kind of alien forces on the moon.
But see, he was the one that was actually very effective at remote viewing, though. I mean, he was really good.
Yeah, he's the one who ran the program.
Yeah.
He was, to hear, what's that old guy? I hate getting older. My mind just lets... I'll have something in mind that just slips
I do it
away.
all the time. I forget the...
Russell Targ.
Yeah, Russell
Targ. According to Russell Targ, I mean, Ingo Swann was the program.
But the thing is, though, man, is space literally is only 62 miles away. That's not even, that's less than an hour drive if you think about it. And it seems like to me, it's almost it's easier for me to get in a rocket. It's almost like I got a better chance. When I've tried this so many times, and I talk about it as if it's an easy thing to be able to get out of the perimeter of my property. I don't want to be around my property. I don't want to see all the haints and all the stuff that's out here. I want to move on. But something keeps me pulled back here. And, William says, well, it's in your subconscious. You'll have to work it out. That's normal. it ain't easy to work stuff out that's in your subconscious. It's not. Hard to work that. That's where like addiction comes from, your internal beliefs, your fears, stuff that controls your body that you don't even know you're controlling. It's hard. You got to really practice to get rid of that stuff. So for those that are just like trying to have an out-of-body experience and they failed a couple times, I mean, you got to really want to do it sometimes. For sure. But the one question I didn't get to ask, William, was that I wanted to ask. I had so many questions, but I had such a little time, was what role do pets and animals play in all of this? And I think he answered that when he said that everything is just, you think you're human, but you're not. And everything is just in a form of consciousness where it wants to be, basically. It wants to have a certain experience. I kind of believe that, but I just can't imagine like why any form of consciousness would say, I want to be a cat, or I want to be a dog, or I want to be a rat or a mosquito. It doesn't make sense to me. I got a lot of questions, Markham.
I wouldn't want to be a mosquito, but I wouldn't mind being one of my own cats because they get pretty well pampered. I had an uncle once who said if there was such thing as reincarnation, he wanted to come back as one of our cats. He knew how well we treated our cats.
I got a big argument with Pop yesterday about that. He said he's like real biblical, and he was talking about how cats and animals don't have a soul. He said they don't have a soul. I said, where are you getting this from? And he was like, well, you know, Noah's Ark. And he started going into the Noah's Ark story. And I said, if you really believe cats don't have a soul, how much would you pay to save Leo's life, right? How much? I mean, how much would I pay is what I'm asking. And I actually looked this up before the program. I don't know why. I was thinking about all kinds of weird stuff. You know, 70% of people said they would shell out any amount of money necessary to save their pet's life. Mm-hmm. Animals got a soul, period.
Oh, yeah, they do. Well, I mean, I have heard it mentioned that the passage where the lion lays down with the lamb and the kid, they use that as proof that animals have souls. It's only the fundamentalists that want to have an excuse to kill anything that walks on four legs with fur are the ones who don't believe animals have souls. It's just like a really parochial redneck view. Because there's no way they don't.
Well, I'm starting to understand. Yeah, somebody just texted in and said, hell, next lifetime I want to be a snapping turtle. Well, you know what? Maybe I get it. So you're a form of consciousness, and say you want to come into a being, right? And you know that this being has a short lifespan. So you're not going to live that long anyway, so you're really just doing it for the experience. What animal would you choose to be? That sounds cliche, but that's something to comprehend.
I want to be Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Not a talking raccoon. I want to.
Yeah, I mean, there's that whole scene where it goes, what the heck? I don't have that much of a lifespan anyway. But, you know, I kind of like that idea. Go for it, you know?
I know it sounds stupid, but the one thing I'd really want to be, if it exists, gotta sound like such a little kid, but it's got to exist, is a dragon. That's got to exist somewhere.
Oh, my God, would that not be awesome?
Yeah.
Especially.
Yeah, it would be. Just be like, you know, whatever, you know, and just breathe hellfire on anything that got in your way and be able to fly anywhere. Because I was thinking about it. I would definitely want to be some form of bird, and I don't want to be some small bird or that some neighbor kid shoots with a BB gun. I want to be like a bald eagle or something. Then I guess I'd like to be a dragon too.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But what happens? See, I got all these questions. Like William makes things sound so simple. And then I end up with all these questions. Like what if scientists, they do these experiments? So say you're a monkey, right? And then you run across, and so you're living the lifestyle of a conscious monkey. And the scientists in China, they're starting to put monkey genes. They're giving monkey genes from human brains. Like they're trying to mix monkey and human genes up in the brain, right? It's the more mad scientist stuff, which is kind of brings up a ton of ethical questions. But What does that mean? Does that affect your consciousness? Does the experience end? Or did you come to this earth and say, hey, I wanted to be a monkey who gets experimented on? That's hard for me to believe.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that, where they say you decide what you want to be before you get here, and you have this thing all plotted out. And to me, that just doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, I don't think.
It
can't be like that.
If we did that, it would be the equivalent of getting all the cheat codes to an epic video game. What's the point? If you have it that plotted out and, all that, that just doesn't make sense to me.
What did you think about the Game of Thrones thing? Right. That was huge, wasn't it?
It was.
You know how many people watched that Sunday?
Millions.
17.4 million people watched that just on satellite alone.
Well, I am so lucky because though I knew the series existed, and I mean, I think I've got two seasons on Blu-ray. I saw season 1. I started to watch season 2. I don't know what happened, and how I got sidetracked from it and never went back to it. So I've been binging it on Amazon Prime for the last 2 weeks. So I got caught up right to, the zombie dragon getting pulled up out of the, it's like, and ends right there where he's melting the wall. And I thought, oh my God.
Don't spoil anything for anybody.
I didn't have the angst that a lot of you had that waited for season 8 to come out.
2 years.
Because by the time I almost feel that way about Strange Angel, the other show we like. It's like they haven't canceled it, but where the hell is season 2?
Man.
CBS, get off your butt. Yeah, I'm waiting for that. But no, I didn't have all that angst of waiting years and, a couple years for the last season, because to me, the last season, I think I watched the last of season 7 on Thursday of last week, and season 8's here. So I cheated.
Well, I understand that. And it would be nice, like you said earlier, to have everything. I know we got to go into our break here, but have everything like a philanthropist would if they bought a 2.9 million. I mean, there are people out there that got a lot of money. That would be a consciousness I'd love to experience. And just like what happened yesterday with Notre Dame, there are already, I guess you could say, philanthropists just trying to fix that situation. There are French billionaires that have already pledged $680 million to restore it. It's going to take hundreds of millions of dollars to repair and rebuild this thing, but it's looking as if the cost could be covered because of all of these rich people coming out of the woodwork over in France. A lot of big billionaires and companies have rallied together, and so far they've pledged $800 million to restore it. So I wonder what it's going to look like when it's all come back together, if they're going to make it the way it originally was. But just think about having that kind of money, right? That is insane.
They probably can't make it look like it did originally because those
they're not.
We don't have the artisans.
Yeah, they're not going to.
We don't have the artisans that could do that kind of work anymore. A lot of what got destroyed was, some of the stonework and some of the elaborate carving. We don't have those kind of artisans anymore.
Right. We gotta take a break here, but it'd be nice to have a lot of that kind of money. Also, real quick, to let you guys know, they're making a freaking Minecraft movie too. If any of you video game nerds are out there. We'll be right back. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void. Stay with us.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex Exum, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Get the Tea is the #1 cleansing tea in America. We cleanse you with organic ingredients, and when used daily, you can increase your energy. Cleanse from intruders that set up camp in your colon. Cleanse your colon and feel the difference. Colon cleanses can be uncomfortable. Not Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea is mild yet truly effective. Cleanse your insides every day. Easy to make, easy to use, and feel the results. Are you sold? Okay, then here's how to order. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Look for our specials on the front page. Get the Tea also carries top-rated supplements for those who care about their health. Naturally. Again, log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And feel the results. And for those of you that arm yourself with information, come to our webinar every other Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's every other Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific. You can sign up at getthetea.com.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you are interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
Did you know that qualified patients can access medical cannabis in all 50 states? Cannasense is a medical cannabis collective that helps patients in all 50 states gain access to cannabis medication. Cannasense does this with a streamlined process and strict compliance with the Compassionate Use Act of 1996, the Affordable Care Act, and the U.S. Constitution. It is important for each patient to understand the legalities involved, the costs, and the benefits of cannabis medication. Through truth, legalization, and education, the medical benefits of cannabis will supplant recreational perceptions, and the real vision for change will be realized. Let the people and their personal doctors take control of their medical cannabis decisions before the greed of big business takes over. The tipping point for change is today, and Cannasense is ready to lead the charge and enable legal access for all qualified patients to medical cannabis through its proven system. For more information, go to thefringe.fm/care or click the banner on the website today.
AncientLifeOil.com. For your CBD needs, just remember, AncientLifeOil.com. What does it do for the body, you ask? I can't say to the people in the suits that run the industry. Big Pharma's all over CBD because of its well, you know what I mean. Research the benefits of CBD on Google and come back to AncientLifeOil.com and purchase your CBD today. Non-GMO and all organic. You don't want to be using a petroleum product. You want to be using the cleanest CBD product on the market. AncientLifeOil.com. We even have CBD for your pet. Help your pet's discomfort. Help your discomfort. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Newly reduced prices to pass off the savings to the most important person. You. AncientLifeOil.com. And one more thing. We have topicals too. So if you have joint pain and some different issues that are going on in your body, you might want to use a topical. Think about it. AncientLifeOil.com.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. Don't forget, after the program tonight, The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable is on every night here. We start the show at 9 p.m. Pacific all the way to midnight, and then Ryan takes over and takes you on into the witching hour. Lots of live programming Monday through Friday here. Also, some good weekend shows. One of the best weekend shows you could listen to at night on a Saturday night is Into the Paranormal with Jeremy Scott, and I ain't just saying that. It's an awesome show. He does a really good job, so you guys make sure you go check that out, too. Earlier in the program, we were talking to William Buhlman from astralinfo.org. And now we're just kind of recapping and going over things. I wanted to get back into this book. Did you listen to that show last night, Eric, where we got into Samael Aun-Weor's book about traveling into the inner mystery schools of the Gnostic church and meeting genies and all this other stuff? You missed out on that one, I think.
I wish I had.
Well,
yeah, I worked over, and when I finally went to bed about 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, good news. It's archived for free. You can catch it anywhere you want.
I'll be listening to it.
You know, I was quoting how much people pay for their pets, right? That 70% people said that they would shell out any money for their pet. But even the small percentage of people, 17% said they would pay $5,000, up to $5,000. And then 10% said they would pay up to $1,000. And only 3% of the population said they wouldn't spend more than $500 on their pet. So there you go. A pet has a soul. You don't spend that kind of money on things that don't have souls. Damn it.
Well, I know they do. I mean, I saw Wolfat, who's been dead. My God, Wolfat's been dead almost 20 years. I saw him I saw him downstairs in my basement the other day. Well, the lower level
ghost of your cat.
Yeah. I thought it was BB at first. They're both Siamese. And, I mean, I saw it just as clear as it could be, and I walked around the corner, and it wasn't there. So I know that was probably Wolfat.
Stacy said, I'd rather come back as a dog because they haven't made, or an owl because they're wise warriors. I don't know about the dog thing, because dogs do stuff that I won't say on this program, but it's kind of gross. But they do have, I know my cat's got it made. Jeez, man. Like spoiled to death. An owl would be definitely cool. So owl would be cool. Yeah, last night we left off on Cancer, right? So Eric and Ryan Gable was commenting on this book, and so we're going to continue with it here a little bit. I don't want to just read the whole damn book online because that wouldn't be fair to anybody, including myself. So we kind of get bits and pieces from it, and then maybe we'll put it all together. So this guy, Samael Aun-Weor, apparently says that, just in case you don't know, we're picking up where we left off, says that he is the angel of Samael. Remember what William Buhlman said about beliefs, even though certain mystery school things are pretty profound. Keep that in mind while we're going through this. But, everybody knows Cancer's from hopefully everybody knows that by now that's listening, from the 21st of June to the 22nd of July. It rules the stomach. Its metal is silver. The stone is pearl. The perfume is camphor. The plant is eucalyptus, cherry tree, and the violet. The flower is a white rose. The planet is the moon. So that's about the only thing I knew. And the color silver. The element is water. The keyword is fecundation. I don't think so. That's your keyword. This day that corresponds to its Monday, and the angel or ruler is Gabriel. Now, this is a guy that's talking about how he goes into the mystery schools of the internal realms. And this is an astrology book like no other, I can promise you. So he says, haven't already practices the exercise of Gemini, which we were talking about yesterday. Yesterday, we will now enter into the constellation of Cancer. And throughout these studies, you have realized that we, the Gnostics, are essentially practical, which is good. I like practicality too. But frankly, we do not like to spend our lives theorizing. We get to the point. Damn, he's just quoting what William said a minute ago, isn't he? I don't like to theorize. I like to have an experience. We are tired of so much theory. We are essentially realistic. We want deeds, not theories, and morbid intellects. We like effective realities. We head towards great realizations. We move towards great realizations. All the spiritual schools talk to you about super sensible worlds. But we go beyond that because we are more practical. We teach, sounds like he's just bragging here. We teach our disciples how to enter those worlds in the astral body. And even with the very body of flesh and bone in a totally conscious and positive manner. This manner about entering into the ultra-sensible worlds with the physical body appears to be strange to the theorist because they know nothing else but how to theorize. And man, This is so weird. This is I'm calling this a synchronicity because William was just got through talking about that. But to the people who comprehend this seems strange, since of course this is as old as the world is. It is not so distant. The physical body evolved and devolved within the astral world. So what's the big deal? After this short preamble, let us fully enter into our present lesson of Cancer. Cancer is the house of the moon. Its metal is silver, its stone is the pearl, and white is its color. The moon influences the thymus gland and regulates the growth of the human being. The moon influences all of the milky juices and all living things. The moon adjusts the procreation of all that is alive. The moon governs the sap in vegetables and the rise and ebb of the tides of the seas. The moon has power over salt. Salt is the foundation of all that is alive. He's talking about some alchemical stuff here. There exists 12 salts within our organism. These are the 12 salts of the 12 zodiacal signs. By the way, I forgot to mention that Cancer also corresponds with the tribe, and according to this guy, of Zebulun. It's in the Bible. Cancer is the sign of reproduction. Fetal conception is verified with the rays of the sign of Cancer. This is why it is the sign of the sacred scarab. In Egypt, the sacred scarab symbolizes the soul. The reincarnating souls pass through the sphere of Cancer before taking a body. Cancer produces the sickness that bears its name. Cancer is also the karma of fornicators. Beware, you fornicators. The moon is the symbol of a secret planet that lies behind it. The moon is the symbol of a secret planet that lies behind it. Okay. The violet hierarchies of the heart temple of the moon gave the vital body to human beings. The moon is inhabited on the other side that is not visible. Oh boy. The Selenites are the most vulgar and laggard beings from our Selenites. I guess those are the beings, the moon beings, are the most vulgar and laggard beings from our earth. There was a need to confine them there. Almost all inhabitants of the city are women. These beings are neither good or bad, but simply laggards. What's a laggard, Eric? Laggard.
Lazy,
They're just lazy?
Just lazy, shiftless, just nasty, I guess you'd say.
Well, I mean, this guy says so much and so little. So apparently there were beings that lived on the dark side of the moon here, and there are lazy people called Selenites, and most of them are women. As they evolve, they will be given a body here on Earth, and eventually all of them will have a body. Okay, so they're not like aliens, physical beings. They're astral beings living on the dark side of the moon. Another small moon called Lilith by astronomers also exists, and Lilith is the black moon. The souls that have already totally separated themselves from their monad, or Atman Buddhi Manas, go there. The souls are of an indescribable perversity, and here they have to pass through the second death to which the apocalypse refers, and of which Christ spoke to us. H.P. Blavatsky refers to the Avicii and the second death in her 6th volume of The Secret Doctrine. The Bhagavad Gita talks to us about the abyss also. However, when we talked about this topic back in 1950, the spiritualists of Columbia laughed at us. But I never stated that my physical person is responsible for confirming the perverse souls into the abyss, or for confining the perverse souls into the abyss. So apparently Samael, the angel, is responsible for laying down the law, right? And so if he believes he's the angel, that I guess they thought that he was saying that he put them there. But this would be, he says, would be an absurd remark, since I am a man like any other. God is the only one who has these types of powers. Marvels of that nature are only performed by the Atman, the great universal spirit of life. Alaya, the super soul of Emerson, the great soul of the world. These marvels have been performed by my internal God only, my Purusha, my superior being, my innermost, my internal master, my monad, my internal angel, before whom I have to kneel, because he is Atman, the ineffable. He's losing me.
seems
What do you think about that
kinda,
stuff, huh?
It sounds like somebody took a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
That's what we said last night.
Put it in a blender and wrote and regurgitated it so it sounded original. I hear elements of the emerald tablets at the top. I hear
Channeled
some
stuff.
Mormonism. I hear a lot of stuff that's already been out there, and it just seems like whoever this guy is, he's
okay. Well, he says
borrowing heavily.
He says everything has an inner being or monad, a spiritual source that has three aspects: spirit, divine soul, and human soul. The word
Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
Yeah, and he also shows like the Cabalistic tree of life that shows Chesed, Geburah, and Tifereth, which is that triplicity there, if anybody knows anything about that.
Right.
But
the reflection of the other.
Yeah. So you know a little bit about it. Hell yeah. Good on you there. All right. So the internal God of any one of you can also do this, because Atman is the omnipotent and ineffable. Masters are many, but the soul master is one. The soul of the world, the divine Alaya, that seems to be many. Samael Anwior is the authentic name of a flame of the great blaze, before whom I prostrate. Samael Anwior means the will of God, and the will of God is what has performed such a task, which is to confine perverse souls into the abyss. So that's his job, to send you perverted folks into the abyss.
That's where the party will be.
Therefore,
well, one of the things,
it is like
one of the things they're talking about, though, the reason that the Gospel of Thomas got kicked out of the Bible to Nicene Council is because in Thomas's Gospel, Jesus said, "I am within all of you." It wasn't something you had to achieve so much as it was something God is in you. You have to release it or get in touch. That's how you got to be more of an ascended being, was to acknowledge the deity that was within you and to work with it and work away from the mundane, work away from the animal side of our natures. And of course, since that didn't require a big daddy church and a big bureaucracy, that got cut out of that became heresy and apocrypha.
Yeah, I'm sure they would look at this stuff the same way. He says, all the moons of the solar system are governed by Jehovah, but our terrestrial satellite is directed, I guess our moon, is directed and governed by the angel Gabriel. The magician must pay close attention to the lunar influences, because all the sidereal and cosmic energies crystallize in our terrestrial globe through the lunar forces. That makes sense. If you put that up against the tree of life, that makes sense. But anything that starts during the crescent moon progresses quickly. Anything that is done during the waning moon does not succeed but fails. The new moon is very weak, while the full moon is very strong and serves in order to perform all types of practical magical works successfully. The last day of the moon means abortion and failures. Always do your business during the crescent moon so that you may succeed. Hitler launched himself against Russia during the waning moon and failed. When a star shines within a nimbus of the moon, it is the sign that a general is surrounded by enemies. The moon I've never heard that. The moon produces the periodic rise and fall of the sea level. The moon produces high and low tides. The moon attracts and repels the terrestrial magnetism. The magician must prepare his body for the exercise of practical magic. The magician's body is different from others because it is prepared. And then he goes into sit in a comfortable chair, remove all thoughts, do your prayer. Something about, I beg you, my Lord, to enter into the heart temple of the moon so that you can bring the angel Gabriel to me, perform the salutations to my Lord. Amen. A little religious. The address, then address the four cardinal points and perform the following invocation of the angel Gabriel while blessing the north, south, east, and west. You want to hear this invocation? 13,000 rays has the sun. 13,000 rays has the moon. 13,000 times may the enemies I have repent. And then the disciple will pray to the angel Gabriel to prepare his body to become invisible, or to transform his face, to stop a bullet or a knife in a moment of danger, or to materialize any superior entity. All right, so my question about that, it sounds kind of ridiculous. Like, are you going to, I mean, if you're going to go to war, maybe I could see doing that, but if somebody pulls out a gun, what are you going to say? Hold on, I got to do this invocation real quick so your bullet don't work.
Right.
I guess,
hang on just a second.
Yeah, wait, I'm going to stop this bullet. Iamblichus, the great theurgus, made the cosmic gods visible in the physical world because he had his body well prepared. The angel Gabriel will occultly treat the spleen and certain centers of the spinal column in the disciple. When the latter can already make the angel Gabriel visible and tangible in the physical plane, it is because his body is prepared. Then, in a moment of danger, the disciple will perform the invocation of the angel Gabriel, and if the disciple wants to become invisible, the angel Gabriel will erase him from his enemy's sight, or will transform his face if the disciple so desires. Like the faceless man in Game of Thrones. You can just change faces.
Yeah. That was a cool thing. Yeah.
The invocation will always be done blessing the 4 cardinal points. These exercises of preparing the body are practiced throughout our entire life. When the magician has his body well prepared, he can make the cosmic gods visible in the physical plane. But this requires patience and perseverance because nothing is just handed to us. Everything has the price of struggle and sacrifice. The forces that descend from heaven on arriving at our thymus gland meet the forces that ascend through our organism from the earth, and there in the thymus gland, the 2 triangles of the superior and inferior forces interlace to form the seal of Solomon. Deep stuff, man.
Well, impractical stuff.
Is it I mean,
I don't. Well, a lot of it just sounds like they got a hold of a beginner's book of alchemy and started adding to it. There's a lot of that was Golden Dawn, the 4 corners and alchemy from the sounds of it.
Yeah, I've read a lot of alchemical texts too. There's a bunch of stuff they put in here though. I am kind of interested in what Leo says, but we're at the top of the hour. If you try any of this stuff, I think after a while, like if you try anything for your entire life, you're going to start believing it.
Right.
Like if somebody told me, okay, you're going to do this ritual invocation, eventually you're going to have an angel come into physical being and you're going to turn invisible. That takes a lot for me to believe. It would take many years for my subconscious to start believing that. I think this is how certain people get locked up in the cuckoo house. They start, or, the psych wards, padded rooms. This is why it was
where
occulted.
They believe it.
Well, the only thing that I do kind of believe at all of this is that, yeah, he had some outer body, or I guess you could say inner body experiences. And he started seeing all this stuff based on his beliefs. I don't know.
How old is this text? I mean, is this a recent thing?
Well, this is a rewrite. So there's a bunch of different versions of it. But this is the latest version, I think, that was released at gnosticteachings.org. And I know there was a version that was from like 1950-something. And the only reason why I'm sharing it, because it's got so many damn secrets in it. And I couldn't find a copyright on it anywhere. All I could find was that a guy named Samael Envior, who claims he was the angel of Samael, wrote it. And that this organization called From Gnostic Teachings, they believe in all this stuff. So that's where I'm getting it from. Because everybody yesterday started asking me about where this book was coming from, so I put the link in the chat room. But yeah, we're at the top of the hour. Don't want to go over here. You guys, please, if you can, I'm just putting this out there. If you get anything of value from this program, please don't hesitate to donate if you can. If you cannot donate, then share the show, review it, like it, even send hate mail. We just want reactions from you. That's what we love. We'll be right back.
This is Elle. I listen to Lighting the Void because it's interactive radio with good content, interesting guests, and a humble host, sharing this journey through the esoteric. Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for having us along for the ride.
Thank you so much for a delightful evening.
Well, I got a lot of ground to cover.
Alright everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, my old china plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Lighting the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your north and south and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you be the Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Your home has needs. It needs a healthy, dry environment all year round. Start by getting rid of the worst air in the basement and crawl space, where the problems begin and make the whole house sick. Introducing the new Smart Wave Ventilation Unit. It has advanced technologies to continuously reduce moisture, mold, and odors, and expel radon, gases, and pollutants. And now, Wave units include carbon monoxide detection to automatically expel air at a high rate and send you an alert. It also has an app so you can remotely monitor the conditions. Wave is a comprehensive, maintenance-free, affordable solution that will transform your entire home. Protect your home and family with what it needs. Give it a new Smart Wave Ventilation Unit. For more information, call 888-717-WAVE. That's 888-717-WAVE. Or go to dryhealthyhome.com. That's dryhealthyhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM. Start your evenings with The Fringe FM long before those other shows get started. Exclusively live on The Fringe FM, hear the Quantum Hologram Matrix with the Reverend John Polk, Tuesdays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. And our newest show, Sci-Spy Radio with Suzanne Ross, Wednesdays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. Then stay up, because we're burning the midnight oil well into the morning hour. The truth is out there, and so are we. Lock it in, The Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. We're going to go through one more sign here in this text, and then we're going to get back to some of your experiences. The next one, according to astrology, is Cancer. And before you guys run away and think I'm about to do some type of Cancer horoscope, I'm not. What I'm reading is a text that is supposedly from ancient Gnostic times of truth, where people could travel out of body and go to the inner sanctum of the Gnostic church and meet all kinds of beings and stuff in the astral worlds. And we talked to William Buhlman earlier, and I think trying to understand this from his point of view, if I don't even think he would read this, but if he did, I'm sure he would say, well, they probably did meet these beings and had these experiences and stuff, and then they just gave it names and things like that. But again, I like to explore everything. So here, Samael Anvior says that Leo is corresponds to the tribe of Judah in the Bible. And everybody knows the birth date from the 23rd of July to the 22nd of August, but it rules the heart and the spinal column. It rules the gold, or the metal gold. Its stone is diamond. The perfume is frankincense. The plant is sunflower. The flower is poppy. Give them milk of the poppy. Planet is the sun. The color is golden. And somebody said in one of the chat rooms earlier that I got an obsession with Game of Thrones. Yeah, guilty. The element is fire, obviously. The day is Sunday. The key word is life, and the ruler is Michael. So in the constellation of Leo, Leo is the heart of the zodiac and the throne of the sun. Leo is the dwelling of the children of the flame, who the Bible calls the thrones. But Leo is the house of the four Kumaras. Kumara is like a jiu-jitsu move, I think. Leo is the house of the sun and governs our heart. Just as the sun is the heart of the solar system, likewise the human heart is the sun of our organism. There are forces that are in the shape of a triangle which descend, and there are those that rise from the earth. They meet at the heart. These forces intermingle and become redeemed, forming the seal of Solomon. The sacred chamber of the blessed mother goddess of the world is the heart. Here is where the ineffable princess of the Kundalini, Hadit, the winged serpent of the wilderness, finally arrives. The cross of initiation is given to us with the heart temple. The Kundalini is the laboratory where the heart works. The fires of the heart control the fires of the spine. There's some alchemical secret stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
The Kundalini rises according to the merits of the heart. The Kundalini evolves and progresses within the aura of the solar logos. The heart is the most sensitive organ of our organisms. The most remote seismic movements of the world are registered within fine membranes of the heart. The heart is the sacred temple of our inner master. The inner master speaks to us through intuition, feelings, perceptions, and even hunches. If a human obeyed these intuitions, they would live without problems. When a human begins to rebel against the voice of their inner master, they create problems for themselves. Two men exist inside of us. They live in an eternal struggle, one against the other. These two men are the heavenly man and the animal man within us. The animal man wants to solve things on his own and acts as if he knows what is best and acts as if he knows everything. The heavenly man speaks through the use of what he intuits. His voice is the voice of silence, and his actions are always upright actions that create happiness. The animal man is the mind that resides in the head with its 7 portals. The heavenly man is the inner master. The head's got 7 portals. That's a new one. At least it's a new one for me. Does the head have 7 portals?
Well, I'm thinking the brain has 7 separate spaces. Something about that resonates.
Okay. The master, see, that's what I'm looking for, is parallels, like stuff that relates to other things. The master commands, and the mind does not obey him. The mind wants to solve everything by its own whim and acts as if it knows what's best, without ever taking into consideration the commands of the internal master. As a consequence of this, pain and bitterness appear as an outcome of erroneous actions and useless efforts. Happy are those who act with the voice of the silence. They will never lack bread, shelter, and refuge. They shall live without problems and will have bliss. This is just a bunch of stuff saying, listen to your intuition and your heart. Coachmen dominate the untamed, cultivate the mind properly so that it will not cast your cart into the abyss. The inner master is divine witness seated on the throne of the heart temple, etc., etc. I'm looking for something that's just not repetitive, same stuff here. Nature casts its shadow upon the master, but the inner master is beyond all shadows. When the soul fuses with the inner master, then it becomes free from nature and enters into the supreme happiness of absolute existence. And this state of happiness is called Nirvana. Nirvana can be attained through millions of births and deaths, but it can also be attained by means of a shorter path. This is called the path of initiation, something you can do in one lifetime. The initiate can reach Nirvana in one single life, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth into light, and few are those who find it. Matthew 7:14.
I was going to say, that sounds like biblical, huh?
Yeah, this verse is speaking about the initiatic path. 7 initiatic sanctuaries exist in the astral plane. The 7 churches, I guess. And if the disciple wants to progress in this path, he has to seek a master. When the disciple is ready, the master appears. This sounds like it's coming right out of the book of Manly P. Hall's What the Ancient Wisdom Expects from Its Disciples.
I was about to say the exact same thing. That and Manly P. Hall's What the Masons Have Lost.
Beware of false prophets. Do not accept external masters in the physical plane. Learn how to travel in the astral body. And when you are skillful in the astral, choose an authentic master of major mysteries of the White Brotherhood and consecrate unto him the most absolute devotion and most profound respect. You must walk with much care in the physical world, since there are many false prophets. Do not accept external orders from anyone. You must only obey the commands that we give you in the astral plane. Well, that's kind of freaky. Like, don't listen to anybody that tells you anything on earth. Listen to the voice in the astral plane. Listen to the beings in the astral plane. We're the only ones that know best.
How many people have ended up in funny farms or, padded cells because they heeded that very passage?
Let's see what I know what Manly has to say about these masters in the astral plane. He says that they actually are governing our existence. Within this physical plane, there exists many good and sincere initiates of the minor mysteries, but since they have not yet fused themselves with their inner master, they are also the living dead. Probably why we're seeing a bunch of zombie movies and stuff. And consequently, they have serious and very grievous errors, which can lead the student astray and even make him fall into the abyss. When we want to make ourselves known to a student in the physical plane, we will give him signs and proof in the astral plane. But be careful, live alert and vigilant as a watchman in times of war, because in these times of the end, the Antichrist makes deceptive signs and wonders. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Be meek and humble, but when it regards the truth, be strong in thought, word, and deed. The higher you will be, the more terrible the fall shall be. Be careful then of falling, because the disciple who allows himself to fall has to struggle a lot in order to recover what he's lost. They say that in Manly P. Hall's book too, because he said that they would walk into rooms with people that had upturned eyes trying to contact spirits and stuff. And he said that it wasn't the fact that he's not saying that they wouldn't contact spirits, but that they have to go back and reteach themselves all over again because they're misusing their powers. Do you remember that part?
Yes.
Same thing. It looks like he's rewording it here.
Well, it almost goes back to how C.S. Lewis had in his Narnia, which is a lot deeper than a lot of people think. But at the end, when they all die and they're in so-called, the paradise, they see a kid that was a member of the opposite side, that he is one of Tash's followers. And the kid's like, well, how can he be here? He was, and the whole thing, in a nutshell, was no act of good. The guy was good in his heart, apparently. No act of good can go or be given to the dark.
Okay.
It's like no good can go to the dark, no dark can go to the good.
Right. I got a text in here that says the 7 portals in the head refers to the openings of the body, the eyes, the ears, the nostrils, and the mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Huh. Well, shouldn't something that's doubled only count as 1? Like 2 nostrils, 2 ears? That's 1, 2. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they're right. I think they've read other books by this guy. Well, let's see. 1, 2.
I was just thinking there was some
5,
internal. I was thinking there was an internal structure.
Yeah.
But it's 6 because they don't give both hemispheres a separate number.
Let's see. I've known many initiates of the minor mysteries who have known and accepted false prophets in the physical plane. There's got to be a ton of those, by the way, if this is real. And then fell into the terrible abyss. I teach the student how to travel in the astral body so that he will not allow himself to be deceived. The student who allows himself to be deceived does so because he does not know how to travel in the astral body. Anyone who tries to ridicule or our sacred temple and our sacred initiations is still a living dead person. Do not listen to him. He is dangerous. There are people who think they can. That's something somebody would say that's trying to manipulate you, you know?
Yes.
That phrase right
very
there.
much so.
Anyone who tries to ridicule our sacred temple or my teachings is a living dead person. Don't listen to them. They're dangerous. Stay away from them.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like cult leader stuff.
Yeah, it does. There are people who think they can reach nirvana without going through any initiation. He keeps calling them the living dead. These living dead people follow the spiral path of life, and only through millions of lifetimes and deaths will they truly reach nirvana. But there are other living dead people who want to rapidly fuse themselves with their innermost mastery, but try to mock our sacred initiations. These types of living dead people are the most dangerous because they have tread the path and are mocking the path. These are the offenders of Victor Hugo. These are the defilers of the temple. To rapidly become, what does Victor Hugo have to do with it?
Yeah, this guy kind of rambles on this stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, like he puts his own beliefs and what do you call it? His own beliefs and his own bias and this stuff. Like anybody that looks at us with skepticism is the living dead, as stupid. Stay away from them. Come drink the Kool-Aid. To rapidly become fused with the innermost without having passed through the 9 initiations of the minor mysteries is akin to wanting to receive a doctoral degree in medicine without having studied all the required years at the university, or wanting to be a general without having passed through all the military ranks. And, you know, in all fairness, I would probably believe what this guy is teaching if he would quit with the manipulative phrases or telling me who to listen to and who not to listen to, you know.
Right. Well, Manly P. Hall actually says there's a lot of deceivers on the astral plane, too.
Yeah, exactly.
So this guy sort of, I guess it depends on what pantheon you believe in. I tend to go with Manly P. Hall.
Yeah. All initiations are received within the temples of the astral plane, but if life itself is a school, then during the sign of Leo, we should act on the heart through meditation. Inner meditation consists of only 3 phases. Phase 1 is concentration. The second phase is meditation or perfect meditation. And the third is perfect samadhi. Well, one has to concentrate the mind on the inner master. One has to meditate on the majesty of the inner master. One has to talk with the inner master until one hears his voice and converses ineffable things with him. Him. H-I-M. This is called samadhi. Concentration is one technique. There's another concentration in The Voices of Silence by Helena Petrova Blavatsky, where she says the following: before the soul can hear the image, has to become, excuse me, got choked up there. I'd be like those other radio hosts. Must be a psychic attack, right? Before
oh my God.
Yeah, it's a psychic attack. Yeah, well, before the soul can hear the image, has to come as deaf to roaring as to whispers, to cries of bellowing elephants as to the silvery buzzing of the golden firefly. Before the soul can comprehend and may remember, she must unto the silent speaker be united, just as the form to which the clay is modeled is first united with the potter's mind. I don't like the way she writes, because she's got like 9 commas in one sentence. For then the soul will hear and will remember, and then to the inner ear will speak the voice of the silence. So Leo is just all about listening to your inner self, not letting certain things fool you, and following your intuition. That's about it. I think I'm done.
Well, one of the things I did like was that listening to the inner voice, because I can think of how many times I started to do something and it wouldn't work, or I was going to do something and obstacles fell in the way, and it became a matter of, I'm going to do this, damn it, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And invariably, there was that little voice saying, maybe you ought to stop. And every time I ignored that little voice, something pretty catastrophic happened. So I agree with that. There is a little voice, I think, that tells us, hey, dude, you're fixing to really F up bad. Don't.
Yeah, I hear you. I have little voices that tell me when people are BSing me, and I know that voice is right. I've always known that. Or when I'm being manipulated, or when someone's trying to get their way with me. I'm gonna stop there, because that's a lot. Just 2 signs. We might get back into that later. But that's later on in the week, by the way. We're going to be talking to Miguel Connor from Aeon Byte Gnostic Radio, which isn't really so much of this type of Gnosticism, more of, and I'm very interested in this, that talks about how the story of the Bible is kind of backwards. Same thing Graham Hancock talks about, and others, that the God of the Old Testament is actually the Demiurge and the evil one. And you got to think about that, right? Because we're talking about, and I'm going to get smited for this by some people, but we're talking about somebody that's like, don't worship me. Don't worship anybody else but me. Only, sacrifice certain things to me, nothing else. If I'm jealous, if you give anybody else any homage or worship, then I will smite you. And I love you more than anything, but I will kill you for your eternity. And even if that is a cult symbol, even if that is analogy, it's some pretty dark analogies. So, yeah, I have asked myself this question so many times, Eric. Like, if there was a God who came to the earth and you knew it was God, right? And he's like, I'm God, your creator. Bow before me. But I love you. And all of these other gods out there, don't give them any worship, or I'm going to jack you up worse than you've ever been jacked up. But I love you. At some point, there has to be some type of, okay, you're God and you created me, but this is still pretty messed up.
Right. I didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
You're expecting me to roll all over and slobber on your boots for a gift that I didn't ask for.
Yeah. I would be like probably pulling people together on the side and be like, hey, what do you think about this cat? Can he really do all the stuff he's saying? Does somebody want to give it a try? Somebody want to test? Because I think we can take him. Let you and him fight.
Maybe
if we all just, bottled up, and a creator of the universe, I don't think would have to say those types of things, really.
I don't either.
Something that created this entire universe would not have to instruct you not to worship anything or not to mess up. It just doesn't make sense to me. And then go kill people's children and all of this other jacked up stuff. You can say, well, it's all an analogy. It's all whatever. Okay, so it's an analogy. It's there's hidden meanings in there.
Metaphor, yeah.
Well, it's a metaphor for something dark, okay? It does. It sounds like an abusive parent. Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's one of the things my dad has recently converted to Catholicism, and he's been reading his Bible and all this. And he's like, I have a hard time reconciling the Old Testament God to the New Testament. And it's like, yeah, so does everybody else, because you've got this jealous God, this God that actually is interfering in our, well, I guess you could say interfering if you're on the wrong side.
Yeah.
If, he was on your side and helping you defeat the Canaanites or whatever, I guess he was pretty cool. But I don't know. It just seems like it's not the same. It just doesn't seem like the same God as the New Testament God.
What if, okay, so you got the God, let me ask you this then. You got the God of the Old Testament, and then you got Samael and Vior, and he's like, check this out. I can teach you all this stuff about how to astral travel, but even stop bullets and be invisible. And you don't believe me, because that's basically what this book says. If you don't believe me, just try it and practice it. Which way, let's just pretend that there's only those two roads. This God, total serving, don't say nothing, don't ask any questions, just be obedient and shut up. And this other person coming to you and telling you, no, that's not really what's going on. I can show you how to have like superpowers and travel into the astral realm. Why do we get confused about that, right? Because people are scared of the second one, because the second one, it's got to be the devil, because it's telling you that you're something bigger than what your religion tells you. You know what I mean?
Well, it's also very much like the dark side of the force, Yeah. It's easier if you do it this way, or, I don't know. You do have, it's almost like the Tao, where you have this balance of forces.
Well, I mean, some weird stuff does happen. I was just looking this up during the break. Like, there's a guy in India who was doing some repair work, and most of the people that I know that are Indian are pretty spiritual, right? And they practice, most of them. I haven't met too many. Of course, I'm in Arkansas. I'm sure if I lived in a bigger city, it'd be different. But most of the Indian people I know, honestly, I've met through online, and they're real spiritual. But this guy in India was doing some repair work at a construction site when he fell down a well, and a rod went straight through his head, right? He's 21 years old. They rushed him to the hospital, and this iron rod went from his right temple into his head and went out the left front. So it went kind of diagonal from the right temple out the left front. And they, like, nothing, apparently he didn't even go unconscious or something. I don't get this, but a team of neurosurgeons only worked on it for, it says, an hour and 30 minutes to remove the rod. The rod was moved safely with hardly any bleeding or injury to the surrounding area. I kind of believe that maybe that dude had some spiritual stuff going on there. I mean,
yeah, because one of the most famous cases of that in this country was a guy, he was a dynamite camper back in the old, I think it was railroad, and he was tamping the explosive down into the next drill hole for the blasting, and it went off, and it drove the rod up through his jaw, up through his frontal lobes, and it completely changed the man's personality. He went from being kind of a devout, nice guy who didn't cuss to this uncouth, like I say, he totally changed his personality from that frontal lobe damage.
Kurt,
so you got to wonder how much of personality is there.
Quit deleting your messages in the chat room. Everybody sees you doing that. You're not hiding nothing. He said, I suggested that you don't get all drunk on whiskey, vodka, and gin and get all high and question the Bible and mess with the evil spirits. And then he deleted it. You're crazy, man. It's funny. I don't know, man. I'm not. The more I read some of this stuff, I mean, I get it. Like, there's a lot of correspondences to things, but it's all just belief structures, man. At the end of the day, I'm not saying William Buhlman's right about everything, but the guy has had more experience in the astral realm than anybody I know personally, besides maybe Thomas Campbell, who I've actually talked to. And all of this stuff is just based on what we believe and what we're afraid of.
Well, how much of this stuff is imagery that came down because, okay, think of some of the biblical passages that just don't seem to make sense in that context, or this is some kind of really supernatural or highly technological thing that's happening, and the only language they had that came close to being able to explain it was in the spiritual or religious context.
Yeah, and these things affect us too, like our belief. Okay, so if you take like the Momo incident, right, and all of that stuff where people are, they're putting hyper sigils out into the internet and chaos magicians. Well, I would just say maybe black magicians, just people doing just terrible, evil stuff. That they know how things affect your subconscious. They know the power of this stuff. They know how it affects your internal realm. And that includes your dream world and your astral realm. So, yeah, you could say there is a bit of magic to it. That's the kind of stuff that Ryan and I are talking about. So you become aware of it, then you just know. So it doesn't affect you. But it's kind of hard to explain that to your kid. Like, here's an experience in one of the Fringe FM chat. It says, I'm not sure how to describe what happened to me yesterday. I was at an event that had several rooms and seminars. I went into a room that once there, my senses started acting really weird, and I got a feeling of like total evil, which I've never felt since being in Southeast Asia 35 years ago. I now had to be imagining this, or I know I had to be imagining this, but it looked like everyone's eyes were dark black and they had no expressions. I felt like they were looking through me and into my soul. Now, I got the hell out of there as fast as I could, but I felt like they were still with me most of the night. And I had a weird night also. I can't explain it. Can anyone explain what I saw or what I thought I saw? This has me really freaked out, and the memories of evil I felt when I was in Southeast Asia has me on edge. So right there, I'm not saying that this guy's experience isn't real. It's totally real. But all of that is based on something that happened to him and it got implanted in the subconscious, and it's affecting what he actually sees. You see what I mean? And it is evil. That's the kind of stuff black magicians do. And I wish he would talk about what if you are hearing this and and this is you, what did you see in Southeast Asia? That was what I'd really want to know.
That's Vietnam, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if that's a Vietnam veteran.
Yeah.
A lot of Vietnam vets, you get them talking about past, the patrols and the war part. Some of them had some very interesting experiences with, like possibly their version of Bigfoot, or, there's things in those jungles that they came across that just weren't normal things. And there's some really, I wish somebody would get together and get these guys to put their stuff down on paper, because they're starting to get old, the Nam vets, and they're not going to be around. It'd be good to get those experiences down and get them documented before they all go to the next place.
Some of the stuff Amalia was telling me about over there, as far as like the sex trafficking goes of children and stuff, is just god awful. Yeah, I mean, some of it I was like, we can't even put this on air. It was so awful,
Right.
Let's see. Let me look at this. Then that's why I want people to share their experiences, so we can pull some of these parallels out and start figuring this stuff out, because we all have these experiences. Here's another one that says, a couple of days ago, I was deep in meditation, and I saw two kids, a boy and a girl about 5 years old, take my hand and begin to lead me somewhere. But then I decided to open my eyes because it just was way too real. do you guys think that in meditation, I could have reached these kids somewhere in the world and came across as a spirit? It was just a thought I had. That's possible. I've read about stuff like that, where people have astrally projected to other places, and kids could see them.
I've actually had an experience where a bunch of us met. It's been some years ago, but I mean, even though they didn't look like themselves, every person in that gathering was somebody I knew and was close with. You know, like Navy buddies and, you know, friends from different walks of life. And it was just really, it was a very enjoyable thing, but it was sort of chaotic in that I spent more of the time trying to figure out, now, which one is he?
Yeah, no doubt.
Is that Scott? Is that Kent? You know, but it was like there was this party and I got invited to it. It was interesting. I'd like to have, I've had other ones similar to that where you get the impression that you're with people that you know somehow.
Yep. I've had that
they
before.
Don't look like themselves.
I even woke up and tried to draw them once because I've never seen him before. Yeah, we only got a few minutes left in the program. I've got to take this last break. We'll be right back here. I'm going to go through a couple of more of your experiences and just try to pick them apart a little bit. Stay with us.
Is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Bouval, Lon Maladuquette, Aaron Cheek, and more join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hello, this is Vance Nesbitt. Take the time to expand your mind by listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop right here on The Fringe FM.
Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Lighting the Void is proud to announce Mind and Magic's Protection and Defense Course for protection from magical and psychic attacks. This is not a joke. Magic practitioners are on the rise, and with that comes attacks from baneful or black magicians that try to harm or hurt others for their own selfish reasons. If you are not a believer in psychic attacks, then this isn't for you. If you are, and you want the power to defend yourself and your family and home, then I highly suggest you grab Freighter Xavier's Protection and Defense Course. In this course, you will learn how to tell if you are under attack from a natural source or if an individual is attacking you. The 4 forms of curses and attacks. How to remove self-imposed curses. The correct way to cleanse your home from negativity or malevolent entities. How to make your own holy water. What you should always keep near or under your bed. Herbs that banish negativity and promote purity. The most powerful banishing rituals on the planet. And for those that seem to want to harm you the most, how to put your enemies in a hell pit of their own making. You can also learn protection against shadow people and other entities. Or are you just in a bad planetary alignment? Even how to get rid of an enemy using a tic-tac box. It does not matter what your faith or belief is, this will work. Click the banner on the website at lightingthevoid.com or go to lightingthevoid.com/Xavier.
Okay, here we go. AncientLifeOil.com. AncientLifeOil.com. Now this is for CBD. AncientLifeOil.com. Again, for CBD. Where do I get CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. It's pretty good stuff. Organic, non-GMO. We are the Ferrari of CBDs. AncientLifeOil.com. You know, they say when you mention a person's name 3 times when you first meet, that you're going to remember. So I'd say to you, nice to meet you, AncientLifeOil.com. It's AncientLifeOil.com, right? Nice to know that you help people. AncientLifeOil.com. Think about this. Occasional stress, occasional anxiety, occasional inflammation, occasional stiffness, and intruders that get you down. AncientLifeOil.com. Okay, so I'm going to give you a fact for the day. So Ancient Life Oil does not help you with business deals. Hold on a second. If you feel better, it could help you make a better decision. Okay, I'm wrong. Just remember to go to AncientLifeOil.com.
Want to know what's on The Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
To Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. It is this time of the year where lots of bad tornadoes and stuff are going to be coming through. They always do, especially where I'm from in the south and the southeast. They're already making their way through several states now, tearing stuff up. Every year we go through this. And the reason why I bring this up is because earlier we were talking about the subconscious and some of the stuff that we fear. And I totally fear tornadoes. I can't tell you, Eric, I've probably had at least 150 dreams about tornadoes. And I don't mean not necessarily the entire dream about tornadoes. I could be dreaming about, I don't know, eating chocolate, and all of a sudden the dream will shift and a tornado's coming out of nowhere. That kind of stuff. And some people say, well, that's like precog. You're going to have a tornado hit you or something. I don't think so. I think that's just like our fears manifesting. But there's been every time during this, or every year during this time, the tornadoes and stuff start blowing through. I really think about it, and I have crazy dreams about it, man. Because it happens all the way up to summer, and I know I'm just starting to get prepared for it. Like last weekend, we had some high winds, and the power went out, but that's nothing. I know that hell is coming. And the freaky thing about tornadoes is it's not like an earthquake where you know the general area where everything's going to happen. These some bitches can hop. They can land on you, especially if it's dark outside and you can't see nothing. They're probably the most dangerous and freaky things on the planet. You know, have you ever been in one?
We had one go by. Yeah, I had my car picked up and, back in 90, I think it was 96, 97. I was on my way to work to the hospital in Springfield, and there was a tornado came through, There was real heavy rain with some hail in it. And then I felt, it was kind of weird. I couldn't tell what had happened, but when it passed and I could see, because I mean, this was a toad strangler. You could not see outside the car. It was that the rain was that down. I was on the other side of the street, pointed the opposite direction.
It picked your car up?
It picked the car up. And then we had one, oh my God, years ago we were staying at New Bern at the KOA in New Bern, North Carolina, and one went by, and like you said, it was totally dark. You couldn't see, even the tornado. They have a tornado siren, like the old air raid siren, and it was going off right there. You couldn't tell. It was just windy and nasty, and I guess it passed within a couple miles. So I've been through a few.
I hate it. And at night out here, especially if my son's not here and he's with his mother, because when they start hitting out here, they start hitting everywhere. And, it's bad, like when the sky turns a little bit greenish looking, and then it gets really
Greenish
silent.
Gray, yep.
Yeah, it gets real silent. And then all of a sudden you hear this kind of roar, and then it starts hailing. There's a tornado around somewhere, but you don't know where it is, because the only time you can see is when lightning strikes, and you can kind of get a glimpse of the sky. And most of the time you think, well, I'll just turn on the weather or whatever. Well, and when you're in the deep abyss of a storm, you're not turning nothing on, Right. You'd be lucky if you got a radio that works. And so it's a freaky thing. But there's other people, man, they're just calm as the weather. Like, they just don't bother them. Whatever's going to happen is going to... I'm not one of those people. I'm looking for a bunker to get into, man. Somewhere to die.
No, I actually like to get out in it.
I did have a friend, Jordan, that was on the show, that he would abandon his whole damn family. He was like, I'm going to Walmart, because in his mind, Walmart was the safest place to be, like in the middle of the store.
Shoot.
And if his wife was like, I'm not going to Walmart, and he'd be like, the hell with you. And he'd leave his wife and kids because they scared him so much. God. And he'd go down there and wait till the tornado warning was over before he'd leave.
Well, that's really not the best place, is it? They're not built for that kind of strength. He's more likely to have a roof cave in on him there.
Walmart's
one thing
safe,
to think about, though, look at the stress and, some of the things we're going through. A tornado in a dream also can symbolize feeling overwhelmed or disappointed. It can be, it can just be a symbol of a destructive situation in your life. So, if
it could be,
maybe you just open yourself up to that this time of year, because it's almost like a suggestion.
Yeah, it could be, but that's something I learned from Carl Jung and others is the only person that can really interpret your dreams the best is you, and that's why they want you to keep a dream journal, so you can recognize your own symbols. But I honestly don't know why I keep seeing them. It could be a symbol for destruction, could be something like that. Oh yeah, I was going to get into more experiences. Here we go. All right. Yeah, we got time for this one. Gnarly dreams. This is from Prince Lucid in the Fringe FM chat. Gnarly dreams seem to be my means. Ever since I was around 8 or 9, I've been aware of the dream world as a real place. Of course, life happens and people forget. But my first and only visual UFO took place in 2002 and between 2003. I was seeing someone and we were watching Star Wars when I noticed she fell asleep, and I wanted to smoke a cigarette. So I went outside to her older brother's place, still under construction, and there was an empty pit lined with bars where the pool would be and a crisscross pattern of the rebar. And I had to watch my step, and then I was pushed to look up. So I did. In other words, I guess he felt like he should look up. I saw a particular shape and have not seen it described or seen it since. Now, this shape came into existence at my 45 as I was looking out east, and without a sound disappeared over my head. I saw the color and can still draw it. I went back upstairs to Vader taking his son's arm, and as exciting as I was, I never woke my lady friend at the time to explain to her what I just saw. To this day, I have amazing lucid dream experiences, but I've got to say, ever since I heard an episode where Joe and I think Crow mentioned going astral in a dream, and then it just cuts off. What's up with that? I'm ... Man, you left me hanging. I'm ... Well, you're what? Ever since Joe and I think Crow mentioned going astral in a dream, I'm bet he's wondering if he really saw something. Hey, Joe, could it possibly be that spiritual highness could be religious, sexuality, athleticism, craftsman, or anything to the extreme where you feel more? There's a lot of hookers in Southeast Asia. I don't get some of these statements. I'm sorry. Could it be possibly that spiritual highness could be religious, sexuality, athleticism, craftsman, or anything to the extreme where you feel more? I guess. Like
Selima.
Yeah, I guess it could be.
Well, that was part of the true Shakers, the sect of, they didn't have any sex, and they made furniture, or anything they made was their sacrament. So if they made something, it had to be the best they could make because it was their offering to God.
I get that. I mean, I don't get it. I wouldn't do it, but I get what you're saying. Another time 10 years ago, we had a lightning storm that knocked out the electricity to our television. Hubby was about ready to call the repair the next day. I concentrated on the television in the astral. So they went to the astral realm and concentrated on their television. I had it with me and was doing some sort of a Reiki thing with my hands over it to try and remove static electricity. The next morning, I asked my husband to turn the television on, and it worked perfectly. I told him what I'd done, and he just did his usual roll his eyes in the air whenever stuff like that comes out. One time, he could not get a motor to work that was in an enclosed wooden trailer, and I did not know the layout of the things inside the trailer. I used my hands to determine the energy of the motor and its location. The near left corner from where I was standing was where it was. I started working on it in that Reiki way and then told him I was done. He opened the trailer and it was right where I had said it was. He started it up after he got it out and it was working fine. Well, who needs a mechanic when you can hire a Reiki practitioner to change your oil or fix your bent piston ring? I don't know.
I have solved mechanical problems in my dreams. Back when I was a tool mechanic, I would get stumped. Every once in a while something would just come along and it would stump me, and I'd put it aside and go on to something else. And then that night, or I would have this dream, and I would fix, the solution to what was wrong with it would come to me, and sure enough, I'd go the next day and start working on it, and that the dream solution actually worked.
I'll tell you, I'm going to quote one thing out of this book here too, real quick. Check this out, what he says, Eric. The 10 Sephiroth, and you studied Kabbalah, right? A little bit. The 10 Sephiroth are within us, and we must learn to manipulate them. We must learn how to transfer ourselves to the different stars in order to know the horoscope of people. Conversing with the cosmic or sidereal gods, we will know our horoscopes without the need for much boasted about arithmetic and astrology. Arithmetic astrology was for the Black Age. The age of astrotheurgy now has arrived. We need to learn about manipulating the twinkling of the stars in order to heal the sick. To learn how to work over the earth from the sidereal temples is necessary. To learn how to work over the earth from the 12 zodiacal signs is necessary. To the age of Aquarius has arrived, and a new progeny commands. The age of Superman has arrived. The earth is a small blue star. The inhabitants of other planets of the solar system, when born under the influence of our planet Earth, are mystics by nature and love sacrifice and altruism. They suffer much in their lives and feel much love for all that is alive. However, the black magicians of other planets, who only accept the negative vibrations of the bright blue star called Earth, are extremely perverse and criminal. Man, this has got to be the wildest stuff I've ever heard about.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild, right? This guy's talking about black magicians on other planets that don't have physical bodies that are influencing us and we're influencing them, and that this Earth is actually a blue twinkling star that we don't understand. I mean, wow. And they believe all this stuff. Like, they believe it 100%. If you go to gnosticteachings.org, you can see all their teachings, all their books. Makes me wonder what kind of experiences these cats are having. I mean, I'm not reading this stuff to make fun of them. I'm reading this stuff to try to figure out parallels, but some of these things that he's talking about are just completely wild to me. Like studying the twinkling of planets. I mean, I know when I look up in the sky here, they kind of twinkle a little bit, but I don't know. We'll figure it out one day, Markham.
Well, they twinkle because the air currents.
Wouldn't it be cool if we could get Neil deGrasse Tyson on this program and I read him this book?
Oh, my God, yeah.
I'm going to try to get him on this program somehow and then read little quotes out of this book to him and see what he says. Just to see what he says.
Oh, he will eat that alive. Yeah.
He'll tell me why everything twinkles for sure, won't he?
Oh, yeah, because it's heat, it's air currents. The best, being an amateur astronomer myself, I know when days are going to suck for viewing because there's been too much heat hit the ground. Your best day is when it's been overcast all day, and then just at dusk, the clouds clear up. That way you don't have a lot of heat from the ground radiating back out, and they don't twinkle as much.
Kurt Green said, I think these are teachings and beliefs from backwoods trailer parks where they use rattlesnakes during praise and worship. I don't think that's not it. No, I've met those kind of people. They don't know nothing about all this stuff. Those people that use rattlesnakes for praise and worship are Bible thumpers. They believe in the literal word of the Bible and nothing else, like Westboro Baptist Church did.
They were that way. There was a sect of those in Logan County, Kentucky, and the preacher got bit and died. The snakes he was handling, he actually took a couple bites, and he told his congregation, "Don't worry, I'll be back in 3 days." Well, a few weeks later, apparently he was getting pretty ripe, and one of the parishioners tipped the local law enforcement that, hey, these people are sequestering this dead body at this such and such address. He ain't coming back, and if he does, yeah. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, tomorrow night on the program, I've got a certain guest in mind that might come on, but if not, we're going to be discussing how UFOs could actually be astral beings, and I'm going to go through certain stories, well-known ones, by the way, that we could relate to this stuff. Doesn't mean that's what I believe, but I think a lot of this stuff is, interfacing beings, possibly. Thank you for coming on, Eric. I really appreciate it. I also want to thank William Buhlman for coming on the program. Right after this, The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable is coming up, and don't forget that this show is produced by the Fringe FM and cannot be syndicated without written permission. The music was by Chronicles, Space Station, Guitar Man by the one and only Bundy, the man, and other music was by the Public Domain. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Good night. On this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised. We told you weeknights on the Fringe FM are now even better, and we mean it.
Do it live!
Where else can you hear the best shows and the best talent? Kick off your evening with our newest host, Alex Exum, live at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. Hang out with me, Joe Roop, on Lighting the Void at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. Ryan Gable expands your mind on the secret teachings at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. We're bringing the heat every single night. Fire it up, The Fringe FM.
Yahoy there. This is Gigi from Shift Happens. And holy shit, you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Hey, don't you dare turn that stand.